Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
A new year, a new season, a brand new challenge. Plenty of drivers on track for the first round of the Motorsport Simworld GT3 Open Championship by Premier Endurance League. 2 hours of racing coming up for the first round of the new season here in virtual Bathurst. Mount Panorama playing host to round number 1. In the middle of qualifying at the moment, getting ready for what is sure to be a scintillating first round of the new season on a drying track, no less. Lots to unpack from this one, and bringing it to you live here on SimSpeed TV on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. It's myself, Reese Gardner, with Hamish Munro alongside me in the commentary box. Jay Kennedy producing behind the scenes, and Peter Baxter is here as well to provide us with pit reports and supplementary information. I'm really looking forward to this, Hamish. A bit of a late call up for me, but I always love me some GT3 Enduros. What a place to start things off.
I mean, it's Bathurst season, isn't it, Reece? It's great to be here once again. We're only a few weeks away, obviously, from the iRacing official Bathurst 12-hour, and around about a month away from the OSR Bathurst 12-hour as well. So it's a special time to be out here in Mount Panorama in the heart of New South Wales, obviously only a couple of hours sort of westerly of the Sydney CBD, and it's a wondrous place. It's a place that's filled with aura, a place that's filled with respect. You've got to bring that respect as well whenever you do laps around here, because it is a circuit that will bite you hard if you do not bring that respect with you. And I think it's one as well, Reece, where drivers will often overstep themselves because they'll try and wrestle the car around here. And from the laps that I've done around Bathurst, which is many of them, I've found that you've just got to let the car do its thing. You've got to let the track and the car come together to give yourself a perfect run around this place. But it's 2026, it's a new season of the Open Series, and it's exciting times to be a GT fan, especially off the back of that Daytona 24-hour only a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The sports car racing world has been aflame recently with the new year bringing things in. Peter, a 2-hour race ahead of us for this first round, and that's going to be the format for most of the rounds this season. It's going to bring in a fair amount of strategy. These cars obviously cannot make it 2 hours on a full tank, so it's going to be largely dependent on how the drivers tackle this, and Bathurst is always a place where the safety car is a possibility.
Absolutely, and great to be here, and Happy New Year. Kick off another season with Premier Endurance League. Let's have a look at the race tonight. The fuel tanks in the cars are 50%, so we're thinking 14, maybe 15 laps if somebody can fuel save well for the whole time. And I equate that to be just under 30 minutes for their racing tonight. So when you talk about strategy, we've only got 30-minute stints, so I'm expecting 3 stops minimum. A safety car will make sure that it's 3 stops for sure, but if you're a bit heavy on fuel, you might have a splash and dash at the end if she goes green all the way. Noting this Bathurst, and Hamish talked about it already, those walls are close and easy to hit. Guys, I can't see this going without a safety car.
Yeah, I agree. There's almost always a couple of teams that end up pinging the wall in the wrong spot. That can affect your car's aerodynamics, straight line speed, handling through the twistier parts of the circuit. but it is really an endurance track, Mount Panorama, and it has been so for a very long time. A good season ahead of us, 5 rounds scheduled for the Open Series. We're here obviously at Mount Panorama for round 1. On the 29th of March, we go to Adelaide for a double race format, 2 one-hour sprints. Road America will play host to round 3 on April the 19th, Le Mans on May the 24th, and the season ends July the 5th at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. It is a who's who of fantastic sports car racing circuits and tracks that are very close to the heart of the AusNZ sim racing community. 7.5 minutes left in qualifying here at Mount Panorama, and reigning champion Damon Woods is on top, but I see, Hamish, that Zach Rattray White is really pressuring him super close at the top of the standings.
No, good old ZRW. He's one that will constantly apply pressure to Damon on these timing sheets tonight, not even just in qualifying but through the racing conditions as well. And ultimately it may become a battle between the two of them across the race this evening, but we keep an eye on the likes of Reese Wakefield and Daniel Hunter as well. My eye is keenly on Dylan Shepherd though, Reese. He's been impressively pressing me recently in a couple of different car types he's been driving, namely the Porsche Cup car that he's been racing on Monday nights. He's got a lot of talent on board that OPR car. We'll see if he can put it all together tonight, but for what's to come down, I mean, can we expect any other names up the top end other than Damon Woods and Zach Rattray White? They're probably the number 1 and 2 seated drivers in a sports car right now in Australia.
Yes, but Reese Wakefield is not too far behind them either, and Lachlan Capel here in the Orbit Drop Bear Aston Martin is looking good. He's just about getting within a second of the drivers at the top here to make their way to the starting grid here. 25 minutes they have to set as many laps as they can to get into that top of the standings, but it's really difficult around a circuit like this, isn't it, Hamish? It seems like, you've got a couple of long straights, plenty of opportunity to move on through, but it's very easy to compromise your lap around here, particularly when traffic gets involved. It appears Capel is going to reset for one final run, and here's the man you were talking about just a few moments ago, Dylan Shepherd, rounding out the top 5, currently 6/10 off that pole time from Damon Woods. Let's see how close he gets here.
See how he does across this run in qualifying. He's probably only got enough time to maybe get 2 more laps in, but he wouldn't really be able to reset it if he could, so he's going to have to go for 2 push laps. It's funny you mentioned, Reese, how you can make mistakes around here. I would argue that even as simple as a small mistake at turn 2 can ruin the whole lap, because it almost ruins the mentality and almost the flow of the lap. It hinders the rhythm a little bit around here, where if you get through turn 2 okay and you make it up through turn 3, you're kind of less pressured across the top. You can just dance the car over the bumps and the grooves in the road and get yourself at the other side of Forest Elbow. But I think early mistakes in a quality lap, by turn 2 or turn 3, if you've made a mistake, that's it, the lap's done, because there is no room to try and drag the time back unless you've made a serious mistake on a previous lap at another corner, which has cost you time in what could have been a much better lap time. But I think tonight there's obviously a lot to talk about. We've got 2 hours to be here tonight at Bathurst. Who could possibly take a win, who could do well tonight as well. There's obviously some notable team changes too. We've already seen one of them, Lachlan Capel, away from Evolution Racing Team and now over to Orbit Drop Bear as well. How much of an effect will that have, not only this season, but into the future seasons as well here for the year of 2026?
Yeah, what to think about there. It's going to be interesting to see how Capel does in the Orbit Drop Bear machine. Trent Allen, at the moment, riding on board to find his way to the start-finish line on board the AITX Revolution e-racing car, and what you'll notice is there's very subtle puddles around the circuit. Peter, practice started with a drying track, and so that means there's a few puddles in some key places around the circuit. We've already seen it on the live feed a couple of times, particularly up at McPhillamy Park. The drivers are going to have to be careful how much they push across the top.
Oh, absolutely. And we've seen this in big races, endurance races at Bathurst over the years since rain has been introduced. This track does hold some puddles and they don't evaporate. There's a bit of a puddle that's a killer at the top. You come up on McPhillamy, and if you touch the water up there, it's the race killer. So I'm going to give you a couple other topics just to talk about through the race. So remember that Bathurst got an upgrade in not the last update, but the one before. So The track's had a bit of an upgrade. Fundamentally, when I've driven it, I haven't found it that much different. I think some of the bumps might be a little bit sharper. I'm not sure how that's impacted whether the water's going to go away or not, but I doubt it. The Aston Martin has had a bit of a tweak, and what I've seen so far this year is it's become the #1 favourite car of all of the top drivers. So and we sort of see qualifying shaping out a little bit like that now, whereas last year it was the Ford Mustang. So a little bit of a car change there at the top for those things. I think Hamish mentioned this earlier. No one's chosen the vet, and you know, the Corvette's had a new tyre model that can get on some tyres now and warm them up and keep going. But there's no one in it so far. One rule that is really important right now, a new rule introduced, is there's a no-tow rule for qualifying. So what that means is if somebody has done their fast laps, they've still got to drive the track and do an in-lap. So potentially that's another risk of impeding or another risk of a car getting away and impacting somebody else's race. So so a new rule just to bring a little bit more realism to qualifying, prevent all the tows. People have to drive back to their pit boxes. So boys, despite all of that, I think we're seeing the same sort of names up the top, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we are, Hamish. We did see a replay just a few moments ago of Marcus Watson hitting that puddle we were talking about, and I do think that that's going to be a huge effect on the races to come. But do you think maybe after 2 hours of racing those puddles will be less numerous, or will we see drivers just balancing across the top there?
I think ultimately what it's going to be, Reece, is how much are they going to be able to push through, right? Are they going to be able to shrink the puddle at any stage by driving over it, obviously, and dispersing the water? It's great to see that the New South Wales Detective Unit has caught that killer puddle up the top of the hill after last year's OSR Bathurst 12 hour, but it's still at large, it seems, and still taking drivers out. So I think realistically, if they can't, they can't drive over the puddle without losing the rear end, they're going to have to avoid it. And avoiding it means it's not going to get shrunken down, which means it could be a factor for the whole race. I mean, unless that water can be dispersed, it's going to have nowhere to go. So it may be a factor coming into the race, and it's going to be something the drivers will have to think about. They can't afford to forget about it, and ultimately you've just got to try and run as good of a line as possible, and to run as fast as possible, you've kind of got to just skip over it, don't you? You can't really avoid it. That's the optimal line. So drivers may have their hands forced this evening.
They may indeed. On board with the provisional pole sitter Damon Woods, reigning champion for Dory Sports. Recently had quite the interesting run in the IMSA Esports Global Championship, where the Dory Sports Mustang was quite quick, always a factor in an international field. But here in the Aston Martin, he is pushing as hard as ever and looking to make some kind of improvement here. Clock hits 0, and that's checkered flag, which means this is going to be Damon Wood's final lap if he doesn't decide to bring it into the pits at the end of this one. Currently with a 300th of a second advantage, and it appears that is enough for him. Late improvement from Lockhart Brownlee as well. The Orbit Drop Air 125 has made its way into 8th place, up from about 14th or so. Dylan Shepherd still has an opportunity to make an improvement here through the final corner. Can he break into that top 5 any further? It's going to be a 2:02.5, and that's enough for him to overtake Marino Morella.
Well, Rattray White gets an improvement as well, but it wasn't good enough to take the pole.
Whoa.
Literally hundredths of a second between them. I mean, just so close. I mean, nothing between them at this stage. Matt Webber ends out his run in qualifying as well. Gets himself into the 2:03s. Can Campbell Adam get this Lamborghini up the order somewhat? He's in the top 25 at this stage. Could slot himself into the top 20 if it's a good enough lap. As he crosses the line, it is an improvement, and he finds himself now P16 after that one. Good to see more Lambos back out there, Reece. It's good to see that car's made a resurgence back to, or out of obscurity. Connor Nixon, we know he's got some good pace as well. Been a long-time driver for Drop Band Motorsports, a massive sports car fan as well, and had a lot of miles in sports cars last year through multiple categories of GTP, GTDs, or GT3s and LMP2s as well, and he slots himself up into 9th, that 2:03.12. So for these final laps to come in, it looks to be that they're going to be minor improvements. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to challenge that pole time of Woods at the moment.
Yeah, looks like Damon did just enough there. Michael Brennan makes an improvement up to 25th place, and Tyson Broad in the Orbit Drop Bear Aston Martin will come across the line here. Currently 18th. Let's see if he makes any improvements here. Needs to beat a 2:03.5, and he does. That puts him into the top 10. Fantastic to see those improvements at the end of the session. Eli Donaldson not quite able to make an improvement. Glenn Crellin evidently has been given a warning already by race control for impeding during this session and has got some damage on his car as well. There'll be no further improvement from him. Rock Kelly in car 115, meanwhile, finding his way down to the chase, one of the heaviest braking zones on any circuit on iRacing. Is this going to be enough for him? No, he's decided it's time to bring it back into the pits. So with that, it would appear that everybody has concluded their qualifying here. A fantastic performance from Damon Woods, the reigning champion, coming out swinging for his title defense. He will have pole position for this one, but a long race ahead. As Peter said before, it's going to be about 3 stops or so that we're going to be expecting for most of the field. And if you end up using a bit more, the splash and dash may be the way to go, unless there is a safety car. Let's take a look at where we are today. Mount Panorama Circuit. I mean, if you're Australian and you're a sim racer or a motorsport fan in general, this track barely needs any introduction at all. It is the host for the Bathurst 1000 and Bathurst 12-hour races every single year. Is a constant presence on calendars, both in the real world and in the sim racing world as well. 6,213 meters in length, with 23 difficult corners, some of which look deceptively simple from the air. But I mean, you mentioned turn 2 earlier on, Hamish. Griffin's Bend is always a big factor for racers here. It's a bit tight on entry and banked on the way through. This track is a public road for most of the year, and so there is a pronounced crown in the road in places, particularly at Griffin's.
I mean, it's, often people will forget that Bathurst, in its most simple state, is a street circuit. We're at a street circuit. It just happens we're on a country road in the middle of New South Wales. But, looking at it from above, it appears to be deceivingly difficult, isn't it? I mean, you can name majority of the corners around here, and they've gotten someone in strife at some point in their time throughout the history of this place. Griffin's is often a place for chaos that we've seen. The cutting as well is often one where we'll even get track jams and blockages up at 4, especially early on in the race as well. But just trying to keep the car clean through 5 and 6 through Reed Park, up through Sulman and towards McPhillamy at 10 as well. We'll often see cars getting looser through there as the tyres start to break away from them too and colliding into the wall, namely, a little over 50 or a little under 10, a little under 15 years ago, Scott Pye in the Bathurst 1000 breaking his leg by hitting the wall up there just before 10. But the rise up the hill is only the start. It's then when you start to come back down the hill again, Reese, through Skyline, and you're tiptoeing the car through the S's at 12, 13, and into the dipper at 14, and you're hoping and praying that the car's going to stick for you when you're under brakes and clicking down the gears, and you're hoping when you get to the dipper at 13 that the car's just going to turn in for you and you're going to get bite on the tyres, and trying to hop that curb on the inside and not take too much wall on the outside as you come through 15. That's one of the difficulties of that section. But we all know, Reese, when you get out the other side of turn 23, you can take a breath. You've made it through probably the most difficult part of the whole track, and you reset your mind again for the next run through.
Let's go through the grid while we have an opportunity here in the warm-up, with Damon Woods taking pole position, Zach Rattray White shadowing him by only 11 thousandths of a second. That's your front row. Reese Wakefield for One Performance Racing starts alongside Marino Morella from Eclipse Sim Sports. It is an all Aston Martin top 5 with Dylan Shepherd rounding that out. Brock Kelly for Summit Sim Sports, the first non-Aston Martin, the Mustang, starting at a P6. In 7th place is going to be Nick Carroll, and Trent Allen starts alongside him to round out the top 8. The top 10 completed by the 2 Orbit Drop Bear cars, Connor Nixon in the Mercedes and Tyson Broad in the Aston Martin.
Get our way over to the 6th row of the grid. It's another all-orbit drop bear row. Lockhart Brownlee and Lachlan Capel alongside each other to make up our top 12. To Isaac Curtis in the AITX Revolution E-Racing entry in P13 alongside Lewis Greathead as well for Vermilion Esports. And then back to the top 15, it's Matt Bailey for Summit Simsports alongside Jet Sarahi as well for Team Max Boost, the first of the Lambos on the grid here this evening. Sam Sutton alongside Campbell Adams as well. So two of those Lambos will be starting right in behind each other. So they'll be able to try and push on as teammates together on circuit. Harry Dodds for Project 36 and alongside Byron Pierce to make up the top 20 for Eclipse Sim Sports.
Then it's Eli Donaldson for Vermilion Esports, starting 21st place alongside Mark Healy, very successful open wheel driver in other leagues. Stuart Ellis and Marcus Watson will start 23rd and 24th, the 13th row of the grid being taken up by Michael Brennan for Summit Sim Sports and Matt Webber for TKR Racing. Ethan Bass, the Scotsman for Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport, starts in 27th place for today's runnings. Clint Smith, a driver we are familiar with over the years, starting in 28th place. The top 30 cars rounded out by Jaden Green for Project 36, and then Riot Sim Racing's Alan Dawson, one of the most striking liveries on the grid.
It's one of the best looking out there for sure. Stuart Shaw and Sam Chapman will start in behind them as well as we move back to the 17th row of the grid for Austin Edwards and Adam Jepson back here as well. So they've got a bit of work to do this evening to fight their way forward. Stephen Tonkin of JWM Sim Sports will start alongside Paul Heckel for TriStar Racing as well in behind him. And towards the 19th row of the grid, it's Logan Murphy and Adam Burhop for the top 38 cars, with Alex Cattle, and Trent Stapleton making up our top 40.
Starting at 41st is Kurt Chapman and Car 916, one of the Revolution E-Racing Porsches. Motorsport Simworld's Benjamin Wilder starts 42nd alongside Jordan Pianazzola, with Corey Bennett alongside him to make up row number 22, one of the few Acura NSXs in the grid today. Kobe Marshall with the Ferrari starting out at 45th. Ryan Bell for Pro Dive Racing alongside him. Then it's Patrick Reard and his teammate starting alongside Marie Docel for Nordic Racing. The top 50 cars rounded out by Jack Stone here alongside Mark Foster. It is a massive bumper grid for this round, and it's such a numerous grid that apparently our overlay software is having trouble with it. There's your 25th row of the grid there. Jack Bird starts in 51st position alongside Andrew Scordelis, far away from his One Performance Racing teammates there, with Andrew Dutch and Dean Mackay 53rd and 54th. It's going to be Leo Dreyer starting in 55th place, Peter Johansson, Ben Jeffrey, and Glenn Krellin rounding out the field there. The everyone from Andrew Dutch down to Glenn Krellin did not end up setting times in qualifying, so it's going to be difficult for them at the start of this race. We don't have a true picture of what their pace is like. We'll find our way to the safety car pulling away from the rest of the field in just a few moments' time. The iRacing Porsche safety car there, of course, AI controlled for the start, but that is not the safety car that we are going to be seeing throughout the race if it ends up having to be brought in. The Aston Martin GT4 serving as our safety car for this one will be driven manually. Hopefully, we don't see it for the first few laps of the race. We would like to get things into a rhythm before things come out. Getting ready then for the start. Man, this is going to be a massive, massive race to start off the new season of the Premier Endurance League GT3 Open Championship presented by Motorsport Simworld. It's Ellen Aston Martin front row. Damon Woods takes point at the start here with Zach Rattray-White alongside. Green flag flies. We're away for the new season. That's a good start from Woods. It would appear, though, that Reece Wakefield has been left behind a little on that start. Slotting into fourth behind the two Eclipse Aston Martins, his teammate Dylan Shepherd trying desperately to hold on to his position in the top five, but Brock Kelly gets around him at turn one.
Oh, it's already high intensity, isn't it? As we approach up towards turn two. In the braking zone for the first time in tonight's race. The first 6.2 Ks getting tackled here in the 2-hour attempt at Mount Panorama. As we enter up towards, we can see there's already moves trying to be made. You've got to try and make some moves early because it's going to be tough to get overtakes done across the top. You don't want to let the front runners run away from you. As we're entering up towards turn three, there we see the charge of Orbit Drop Bear cars trying to fight their way inside of the top 10 as well. As Byron Pierce has already had a moment down at turn four. He's slowing up, but he's not broken the car just yet, but he is just trying to nurse it back and get back up to speed here as they run it up through Reed Park.
Oh, this is massive here. This section of the circuit, this is where some of the big incidents happen, especially further down in the field, but it looks like a reasonably clean start from most of the drivers here. Big movers in the field include Alex Cattle, Kurt Chapman up 5 and 6 positions respectively, Dean Mackay and Peter Johansson and Glenn Krellin as well, all up 8 spots from where they started. Byron Pierce, the man who has fallen down the order the most, he's now down to 28th spot as he continues to nurse car 560 around, potentially. We'll be seeing a visit back to the pits. Dylan Shepherd has been trying his best to make his way back up. He's repassed Brock Kelly for 4th place. That happened at the cutting. And we'll find our way down to the chase for the first time here. It's Damon Woods, Zach Rattray White and Marino Morella with a top 3 breakaway at the front there. Car 911 of Isaac Curtis finds his way past Lewis Greathead. A nice defense at the chase there, but it looks like the battle for 12th on back is going to be massive here today.
So one thing I've already noticed is Harry Dodds missed the race start here this evening, as there has been, I think, a minor incident along the circuit. I've just tried to click onto it to find out what's happened because, yeah, there it is there.
Oh,
so
dear.
down at the chase, there's a couple of cars that have gone around, already backed in. My PC is personally not liking it, Reese. I don't know how yours is going. I know that we were both dealing with some blinking issues earlier on, but oh no, yeah, that's a big one. Out of the 10 goes that Summit Mustang.
Michael Brennan,
Yeah.
unfortunately, with a spin out of turn 2 there. So we've had some dramas in the first part of this race already. Nothing quite enough to bring out the safety car, which is good news. And now that we see our leaders battling line astern here in the top 3, Peter, you've rejoined us after going around to some of the teams and having a chat to some of the drivers. What have you got for us?
Yeah, well, I just tried to find out what happened with a couple of the drivers that were sort of out of position from qualifying. The most notable one, Dean Mackay, he started from the rear of grid. And that was not intentional, boys. He had 3 attempts at setting a lap, but every time he went out, something happened. A car spun in front of him, he got a little bit loose, and then a car held him up. So potentially, that just put him down the rear of the field. So keep an eye on Dean Mackay. I got him down as probably the highest gainer for the night, if all goes well. We know Bathurst not always goes well.
God, we're just getting the replay of that incident at the chase, Peter. That was massive. Debris was flying everywhere. It looked like the number 90 getting turned around there, and that was Alex Cattle. He, Logan Murphy, and Paul Heckel, I think, all involved in that one. That's going to be something we're seeing a lot today while the field is still compressed, is those tiny little taps that turn into big incidents.
Not just that as well, you know, obviously as well, Pete. The field's so tightly contested together so early on this race, it's probably our biggest percentage chance of a safety car tonight because of how tight the field is. Now, the problem with Heckel is he's already got a meatball flag. He picked the line a little bit too poor, tried to go off track to avoid it, and unfortunately the car's ricocheted back in front of him. But, you know, I know that you're driving this season, Pete, in the limited series, but it's those little 1%ers that can cost you. But again, at this point of the race, we're more than likely going to have a safety car compared to the end of the race where everyone's a bit more spread out.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, yeah, me driving is a bit of a question mark. But anyway, you guys also talked about PC troubles. Have a thought, Kobe Marshall, 3 frames per second, mate. And I don't know if you've ever been in a PC that does 3 frames per second. You just cannot drive a car in iRacing. So Kobe's had to disconnect, unfortunately, out of the race. So that's a real shame for Kobe. And again, you know, 58 cars going to stress test it. That's one of those things that's in racing gets us. Boys, the other thing...
I would be surprised, Pete, if at 3 frames per second he was even loading the circuit in. I mean,
yeah,
that would feel like a MS Paint of Bathurst.
Possibly. Listen, I'm going to shout out to Mark Foster. He's brought back the lime green milkshake for me. So the lime green man, the milkshake man, is back on the circuit. So good on Fozzie. He listened to my complaints not having that last season. Brought the colours back despite all objections from his team, and he's out there racing it. So, yeah, he's in a little bit of doubt because he normally races in the limited about how he's going to go in the open, but get out there, Fozzie, give him hell, and hopefully race some good results.
so good for Peter Johansson there, the Dane, taking part in this series. Had a spin coming up to Green Park. Looked like he got a little unsettled over the bump that is present there. Lewis Greathead, meanwhile, still defending P12. And he's got a lot to defend here with cars behind all looking for an opportunity. One of them being Sam Sutton there in the orbit drop by Aston Martin. Damon Woods taking the fastest lap of the race so far. 2:02.7 is what we're expecting from the front of the field here. But man, these fights have certainly been working out well thus far. Speaking of Damon Woods, though, I've just noticed he's disappeared off the circuit. Oh, looked like there might have been some network problems there for our race leader, Hamish. That's not a good time for those issues to happen, if there ever is a good time.
I suppose if it was going to happen, Reece, you want it to happen now, because it's better to happen now when you try and hop back in and then get going again than for it to happen at the end of the race where you haven't got any time at all to come back. I mean, only less than 10 minutes into this thing, you don't necessarily want to be disconnecting at any point, but if it's going to happen, you want it to happen around about now, don't you? Because you've still got an hour and 50 minutes to clutch something back for yourself too. But I mean, we can already see drivers are, they're battling like it's the end of the race, just about putting each other under massive pressure already around here. And this is probably one of the toughest, or even maybe the hardest circuit to deal with pressure, because you're pressured from the track itself. You're pressured from I said it earlier, the aura that the track has, the energy it brings, the fact that you've got to respect it. And you add that to the pressure that's being applied to the back of you, or pressure that's being defended upon you, some mistakes can be made. And the longer these battles go on, and the tougher these battles go on as well, the more gaps that are actually going to start to form between the little battle packs that are forming at this stage. So, for the drivers out there, they've just got to keep the head down, push on, get to the first pit stop, and recalculate where are we going to be, how can we get there, and how can we move up the order if we can try and offset somebody at some stage.
Well, we keep an eye on the One Performance Racing Aston Martins. Reece Wakefield and Dylan Shepherd continuing to be consistent here in these minor positions in the top 5. Damon Woods brings the pace down to a 2:02.4. Very impressive pace from the Motorsport Simworld Aston Martin out front. These two getting pressured by Brock Kelly, Port Summit Sim Sports. Trent Allen just holding on, hitching to the back of this train. The gaps at the moment, they don't seem to have extended out too far within these battle packs, but it appears our top 3 are running away with it at the moment. They're able to run anywhere from 0.3 of a second to almost a full second faster than everyone pursuing them, H.
We mentioned it during qualifying, Reece, that for Ratcho Ryan Woods, as that's Donaldson into the wall at turn 2. No rear wing on that car. It's going to have to come into pit lane, but the struggle now for Donaldson is he's got to try and nurse it around about 6 kilometres back to pit lane here, Reece. So that's going to be a struggle in this mid-engine Porsche, plus dealing with the traffic that's coming at you as well. And he may not even be aware of the fact that he's without that rear wing. So he may either learn the hard way, or hopefully he does know and he brings it straight into pit lane. But to the point you were making about the front 3, we knew as well that those guys are going to be strong, but here we see the replay of it, and it was Isaac Curtis up his inside, bit of contact made, round she went and into the wall. Could be a penalty coming the way of Isaac Curtis for that one, and I think if you're Donaldson, by now you surely know you're without a rear wing.
Yeah, Peter, this is a tough position for Eli to be in. He's got a huge pack of cars trying to make their way past him on a part of the track where it's practically impossible to go side by side. And also at turn 2 as well. If you're having a pass made on you at turn 2, you want desperately to get onto the right-hand side of the road, because that's where the banking is. If you're wide through turn 2, the only thing you're going to be doing is going into the wall.
Oh, absolutely. Turn 2 is one of those tricky ones. I'll just go back to the supercars Bathurst last year, but it changed the race for someone who might have won it for the first time ever. But look, in Eli's case, he's done a pretty good job getting around, to be honest. He's lost about 10 odd spots, I think, maybe about 15 odd spots. He's going to get in there. He'll use his fixed repair, or fast repair. They all have one fast repair for Premier Endurance League for these races, so he'll be able to use that. He'll come back out, and he's going to have to fight his way back up the top. We know Eli's been a fairly strong contender all the time, so he'll get out in a bit of clean air. Unfortunately, it's probably going to put him in a situation where he's going to have to do a four-stopper, but yeah, I'm sure he'll fight. If he gets a safety car, he'll be quite happy.
Yeah, he's managed to get the car repaired and is getting back out on track now. No further action for Isaac Curtis over that one, so it would appear, Hamish, your prediction was proved false just for now. Race control evidently being a bit lenient with those kinds of contact. It was very touch and go with those two. However, we do have a 15-second time penalty that's come in for car 116 for causing an incident on lap 3. Now, I'm looking through the field to see which is car 116, and that's Austin Edwards, who's running down in 29th at the moment. That's for contact with car number 62, and that's going to be Alan Dawson. So I think race control already looking at seeing those incident spreadsheets fill up.
You know, already seeing it come about for them. I just thought, since James Golding was cost the win of the Bathurst 1000 this year due to a penalty, I thought, well, maybe they might give one away for a very similar incident, but no, apparently not. I would argue that the PAL race control got it correct and the Supercars race control did not. That's an opinion for another day, though. One thing I've just seen, though, is Paul Heckle's brought his car back in pit lane. So he had fixed his car from the meatball. He's still missing the front end of that Ferrari, though. So he's actually come back in to try and finish those repairs. Maybe race over for him if he decides it is, because it was a lot of damage on the front of that car. It could be a good 10 minutes before that car's back out on track. I don't know how willing he is going to be to get out there, although actually he hasn't even come all the way through. He's driving straight out again, so I'm not sure what the go is. This is fast repair. I can explain the questions that I've just asked myself. So fast repair already used with Paul Heckle. He's down the order. He'll have work to do, and he'll need a safety car to get back into things. But in terms of the front runners tonight, and in terms of the battles, it's all on. And right now we can see already that Ellis wants to try and get a move done here on Project 36's Marcus Watson up at 2. Gets the Merc past the Mustang. And now lines up Mark Hilly just ahead of him as well. Watson's got good pace and he's a strong competitor too, but he's going to have to put the elbows out a little bit more, maybe a bit later in the race to stop some cars coming past. But the early point of the race, there's no point defending it too hard now. You're only going to give up time.
Yeah, that's it. Safety car is always a possibility, and what's most important in this early stage of the race is looking after your car, keeping it clean, because you don't want to be going into the pits and using up your fast repair really early on, like we've seen a couple of drivers unfortunately have to do. Conditions here today, 31-degree track temperature, which is certainly not cool by any stretch, not what I would call hot either though. 20k an hour winds from the northeast at 20 k's an hour. Oh dear, looks like an incident coming down the hill here. Matt Webber, who we were looking at before, has come a cropper somehow, and I saw an Aston Martin going slow alongside too. He's going to have to get that one turned around, so let's see if that ends up being a successful pursuit here for Matt Webber. He's just been waiting for a clear spot to come around so that he can get it turned around. So good to see that he's still rolling, but Peter, that looked like quite the difficult incident there.
Well, any incident over the McPhillamy and through that drop is pretty hard, because you've got bunches of cars coming over a blind corner, and yes, you might get a little bit of yellow flag, but you get no idea whether the car's on the left or right and what you have to do to prepare for it. But hey guys, I just want to shout out to give a welcome to Leo Dreyer, car number 170. A fellow with a strong South African accent, I just learnt, who's new to Premier Endurance League racing. Had another shocker, like Dean Mackay, he's had another shocker during qualifying, got caught out by the tow rule and sort of ended at the back of the field. Currently up 16 spots in P39, running about the same pace as those in about P20 to 25. So good on you, Leo. Welcome to Premier Endurance League. I hope you enjoy the race. All the best.
Getting into the top 40, which is in a field like this quite an achievement. Look at all the tyre tracks being left there on the exit of turn 1, Hamish. You want to push as hard as you can through Hell Corner, because you got this entire mountain straight to take advantage of the pace, but it can be very easy to run wide there. It looks simple enough from the air, but far from it when you're behind the wheel.
It's arguably, it is up there in terms of difficult corners around here at Bathurst. I mean, you get the turn in slightly too late, or you get the wrong gear coming through that corner, and it's very easy to run it wide and end up in the sand trap. And it can even be almost disheartening at times when you've made a mistake at one, because it can almost compound to more and more mistakes down there. But what it's proving to me, Reese, is these guys are on the limit. They're trying to push as hard as possible. They're trying to race, obviously, as fast as possible as well, but just trying to get every little inch they possibly can. And when we're on that edge of grip and we're on that edge of risk, that's when we'll often see incidents occurring, or that's when we'll often see mistakes occurring as well. But yeah, I mean, I think as this race goes on, the time marks are only going to get deeper, because they're going to be pushing them harder and harder to hold on to their positions.
Yeah, Jet Saragi for Team Max Boost then battling for 17th here. Isaac Curtis up ahead as Damon Woods brings the fastest lap down again. We saw Byron Pierce just a few moments ago coming out of the pits in the Eclipse Aston Martin, and he was the Aston Martin in question when we went back to the incident for the Mustang of, I believe, Matt Webber. And it looked like, to me, Byron Pierce caught the puddle of death at McPhillamy Park, and he was sent around. So he's jumped in, gotten a fast repair. The man who started 20th is now down in round about the 31st position at the moment. So a lot of drivers suffering those small issues, or tiny issues that turn into really big ones. At the moment, keeping an eye on the battle just inside the top 10 here. Lewis Greathead is in quite the sandwich. He's in a veritable Big Mac of orbit drop bear cars.
I was hoping I could think of a space reference to compound Big Mac even more. I couldn't even come up with a good one, if I'm honest with you, Reese. But the situation that he's in right now, he's got five planetary-sized orbit drop bear drivers around him who are going to continue to build pressure upon him, and he's got no teammates around him. There's no Vermilion Esports cars around him at this stage, and ultimately this is one of the worst pieces of pressure you can hold, because what can you do? You can't battle them, because if you battle them, they'll all turn on you and they'll all try and fight you, and then it's a 1 against 5 handicap scenario. You almost just have to work with them at this stage and hope for a much better outcome at the end of it. But realistically, it can be a scary sight when you're amongst it. And for Greathead at this stage, I mean, he's a smart driver. He knows that he can push on, and I think right now he'll be happy to do so. The drop bear guys will want to be pushing on as well. I'm sure there's some level of gentlemanly agreement about them. Back with Saragi, continuing to put the pressure down at this point of the race with Isaac Curtis ahead of him. Isaac, a very strong driver, won the limited series last season for Pell, so he's a driver with a lot of pace about him and a lot of talent on board this car as well. And I'm excited to see, Pete, what not only Isaac can do this season, as he leaves me before I ask him a question. That's grand. Thanks, Pete. Throw me under the bus, Mr. Baxter. But I'm excited, Reese, for what Isaac can do this season, not only in the Open Series, but over in the Limited Series as well, and see if he's able to go back-to-back over there.
Yeah, a lot of talent behind the wheel of this 911 Aston Martin. Still fighting hard with the Team Max Boost Lamborghini. We'll see if Jet Saragi has the pace to keep up with him. At the moment, it looks like Isaac Curtis has about half a tenth's advantage over Saragi at the moment. But both of these guys are in a bit of no man's land at the moment. The drivers behind them are slower, and the drivers ahead are running about 1/10 to 2/10 of a second faster. So it's Jet versus Isaac at this stage. News coming in as well from race control. 10-second penalty has been given to Michael Brennan. The contact at turn 1, I believe, with Jordan Pianazzola. The incident there. A bit of a coming together in the braking zone between those two drivers. So more opportunities to make positions up due to drivers receiving penalties. It looks to me like Brennan's problems have compounded, though. He has now got his front bumper hanging off, and he's trying his best to maintain track position, but it appears there's been further problems for him. There is that Summit SimSports Mustang just hanging by a thread, that front bumper.
That's some pretty strong zip ties on that front bumper of that Mustang right now, Reese. But he's just trying to make it the next 9.5 minutes to the first stop, get that car fixed up and push on once again for the next stint in this race, because he's got big pressure in behind him. You mentioned the little hole that Curtis and Saragi found themselves in before, how they're just tucked in nicely away. They've got slower cars behind them, faster cars ahead of them. And that's not necessarily a bad thing at this point of the race, though, because they're of a very similar pace, they can just continue to roll around together, try and build some gap, and actually keep themselves nice and tidy. Because, you know, a 1v1 is going to be a much better scenario for both of them than if it's a 1v1v1v1 times 10. You know, they've got themselves slotted in a nice position, but for Brennan, he's just trying to nurse this thing back to pit lane for the next 9 minutes, and he should get that thing fixed up and try and push on. But yeah, it's already a night to forget for him.
Certainly is. Peter, you've rejoined us as we keep an eye on the battle for 35th here. Andrew Dutch trying to find his way past Ryan Bell. Looks like Ryan Bell is going to jump into the pits, but we're starting to approach that pit window time. Do you think anyone's decided to... oh my God, okay, Marie Docel, the driver that it appears Andrew Dutch was battling with. Contact there, that might end up being a penalty from race control, but yeah, Peter, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, hey, listen boys, I just went and had a chat with the Pro Drive Racing guys. So that's Brian Earl, Trent Stapleton, Pat Reardon. Those guys are actually all really close together on the track in terms of position, so it's kind of cool to be able to have a chat with a group like that. Obviously they're not the front runners, but again, another team struggle with qualifying, but they're on their strategy, like run green until they go right now. So they're just going as far as they can to see where they go. There's a little bit antsy with some of the other drivers. I won't name that, but I'm not surprised that we just saw what we saw. So anyway, but I guess you can read between the lines with that one. Anyway, but yeah, the Pro Drive guys are there, and looks like we've got a little bit of smoke over McPhillips at the moment. So see you in the catch up. Anyway, boys, back here.
Yeah, some big news for Dylan Shepherd, unfortunately. He has lost 5th place. It was contact with Glenn Crellin as he was lapping him on the exit of Forest Elbow. Shepherd's coming back up to Crellin now, and he's back in 7th, and a little bit of a bump in the road here for the 143, Hamish, who were expecting big things from him.
Well, it's not only a little bump in the road. What it's done is it's pushed him back into the clutches of Capel and Brownlee and the other Orbit Drop Bear cars that are running together. They've already gotten past Lewis Greathead, and now they want to try and pick off and drop Dylan Shepherd another 5 spots back for OPR at this stage. So for Shepherd, this is the worst possible time that this could have happened. This is how it did happen, and I've got to say that's pretty poor from Crellin there as a lapped car. Now, I'm a big believer, Reese, that blue flags does not mean you need to move out of the way of another car, but you need to make it easier for them to get past you. Best thing that Crellin could have done then was just given the space up to the inside and let Shepherd go past him. There was nothing to be gained from that. And ultimately, I think Crellin's going to get a penalty for it because he does not have the right of way. The right of way goes to the lead lap car.
Yeah, to be fair to Crellin, as we see him spun around there, and that's contact with Isaac Curtis at the top of the mountain. That's no good. That's no good. Yeah, looks like that's on the run into McPhillamy, and Isaac Curtis now without a rear wing, with heavy damage to the rear of the car. The entire rear bumper is missing, and it looks like the rear left has come a cropper as well. Here's how it happened. Crellin, I was going to say, to be fair to him, has damage, but man,
why are you doing it there?
That's not ideal.
No, that's...
I mean,
why are you doing it there? Like what?
I've raced at Bathurst plenty of times, right? And I always think the same thing every time I get behind the wheel there. If I'm getting lapped across the top of the mountain, I am not going to jump out of the way, because at the end of the day, it's the faster car's responsibility to get by, and it's just safer to wait until Forest Elbow or the exit onto the straight to really get it done. Yeah, I think there's a combination of the drying track and the lack of pace that Crellin seems to have had is just combining to make life a bit worse for a few of our drivers out there. That is that's a difficult one. I don't want to speak ill of anyone, but I think certain individuals could have done a little bit better in both of those circumstances.
I'm always a big proprietor, Reese, of patience is key, and not just for higher class of cars trying to get past lower class cars, but even for faster drivers trying to get past slower drivers or lapping drivers. There, patience had nothing to do with that. That was just straight up. That was just poor traffic management from the lapped car getting out of the way at the wrong time. If he wanted to get out of the way of him, wait until after the kink and just move over before McPhillamy Park and let him go, lift off, stay to the left and let him go just before McPhillamy. I mean, it's ultimately, it's poor traffic management, and I hope that Glenn uses this as a learning experience tonight, because ultimately that's not how you go racing when trying to let cars past you. And I think, it's a massive mistake, but it's happened twice within a lap. He's going to get slapped on the wrist pretty hard by race control, I feel.
Again, to be fair, having Mount Panorama as the opening round of a new season can introduce some difficulties, because Bathurst is a bit of a unique case in terms of traffic management. There's certain parts of the circuit where you just don't want to go side by side with someone. A difficult situation, but right on cue. Car 542 is making his way. Jordan Pianezzola and Eli Donaldson chasing each other at the moment, and looks like race control with another action here that is no further action for Marie Docell, which was the incident with Byron Pierce, I believe, on lap number 9. Interesting stuff here, but Byron Pierce has had further issues here, Peter. It seems the Aston Martin is looking bumperless at the moment.
Yeah, look, there's a couple of cars getting around that are getting a bit of a flog, and I was in the AITT chat with Isaac just after he had that coming together with the black back marker. Just wanted to make sure his head was still screwed on okay, because then he had his trouble in the Forest elbow. But I think we might have missed an opportunity for a safety car. Could have changed this race, put it on its head. But yeah, anyway, so he's in good spirits, and I feel getting his fast repair once he stays done. He'll get out back on the track, and Isaac will fly back when he can.
Well, you just said it, Peter. There is a safety car that's just been called, and it's for Peter Johansson. We saw him on live pictures, spun coming out of the dipper there. Byron Pierce, meanwhile, ran into the back of another car. So unfortunately that's why he has the damage, but the safety car is out now, and that means everyone's pace is going to be brought down here, and it's time to get those strategies going here. Right on cue actually for the first pit stop window, Hamish. This is around about when we'd be expecting drivers to come into the pits anyway.
Couldn't have come at a better time for them, could it? You couldn't have asked for a better scenario of, well, we've now got a free pit stop at the exact time that we need the free pit stop. So this is, it's not going to offset anybody. What it's going to do is probably actually help us get to a guaranteed 3-stopper tonight. But yeah, I mean, we'll be on the safety car now for a couple of laps, and we'll prepare ourselves for the restart once again. And right now it feels like 2 different races, Reese. I mean, we've had the first race for half an hour, safety cars come out, and now we set ourselves up for another one. But unfortunately for Johansson, that car is parked up with nowhere to go.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to see how exactly he ended up in that position. The Danish drivers racing here today have had their fair share of issues, both Peter Johansson and Marie Docell. Well, I'll be scrolling back through my replay to see what happened to Johansson. It looks like he was already damaged coming down the hill. Not ideal for Peter. He tried to get back going here, but ended up spinning around again. The rear end of the car just way too heavily damaged. And his issues were initially caused by running too deep into the cutting earlier on this lap. Oh, that is what finally got it done there for Peter Johansson. And, well, that's why we are in this situation. Safety car out for the first time this season in the Motorsport Simworld GT3 Open Championship by Premier Racing League. While we're under safety car here, Peter, this is the moment that everyone resets.
No, I thought it was too, but car number 14 has come out of the chase, lost control, and put himself into the fence. That's under safety car, boys. So
Can't even see him. He's behind the embankment there.
So before the field's actually been able to clean up. Obviously, he was doing his sort of 95% run, but yeah, he just touched the grass and off he goes. So, oh, there you go. All right. So we're still waiting for the safety car to have effect. Hamish, you stole my job. Absolutely spot on. Pit stop at the right time, and then 2 laps, maybe 3 under the safety car, and I think, dead set. It's now just going to be a straight out 3-stopper. There might be a few people out of sequence, but I think they will, if everybody fills up now, I think, man, we're going to see everybody back in the same sequence. So that's my guess. So I'm going to go and see if I can get have a chat with a few guys and see what I can gather.
Excellent stuff. Thanks very much, Peter, once again. So, excuse me, that was Jack Stone in the number 14 Aston Martin that spun at the chase. My apologies.
We're just waiting for as well, just everything to get cleaned up here, and waiting for the field to get filtered out and prepare us for a green flag start going on to the next portion of this race as well. Oh my god, okay.
Oh dear.
We're hearing words that, unfortunately for Scott Barton, who's on board that safety car, as, the McLaren's gone round. Who was that? Was that Clint Smith in the McLaren? Yeah. So we've got multiple incidents here, Reese. It's really, really starting to come unglued now, and the fact that the pace car has blown its engine up in pit lane.
Yeah, this is quite confusing. Sam Chapman there has no steering on his right-hand side, so that's difficult on an anti-clockwise circuit. And from the remark, the groan that we just heard from Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, this is what happened here to Sam Chapman. Clint Smith up ahead of him. Oh dear, it looks like he came up to the safety car queue and didn't realise everyone was going so slow.
It's unfortunate for Sam and for Smith as well, and that's the struggle where you get up to the queue and blind corner, you don't realise they're right there. That's an issue. That is an issue. Oh my god,
man.
that could have been so much worse. It seriously could have been so much worse if
Clint Smith got the short end of the stick there.
Yeah, he did. If Chapo didn't have the foresight though to turn left and try and avoid him, that could have been so much worse. But yeah, it's a real shame for Clint to be caught up in that. When we do get restarted though, of course, it will be Damon Woods, last season's champion. A pole sitter here tonight. He's led every single lap, and he'll lead even more going into the next portion of this race. He's going to get us restarted for the safety car restart when we do go back to green. I believe the safety car is heading out there, and I have just noticed, Reese, he's got wet tyres on board that car.
Oh no, what? What's going on here with the safety car?
I don't know. I think that pit crew might need to get replaced. Oh no. I think he's just realised as well. No, very far from ideal. I mean, you'd be all right at McPhillamy where the puddle is.
Yeah, true. And I mean, even then, as the safety car driver, you're not going max pace anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter what tyres are on the car. But quite an interesting first safety car period of the season with no safety car at the front of the order.
I tell you what, Damon Woods is going to have to get paid double tonight. Race leader, pole sitter, and safety car driver at this stage.
Yes, he's performing triple duty at the moment. Wave arounds happening. Oh dear, it looks like Byron Pierce has had another problem. He stopped at turn 2, and the cars that were just waved around, Harry Dodds and Alex Cattle, had to take some avoiding action there. Car number 560 with evidently a failure to the drive shaft there. He's had to pull over, and it looks like that was a solo error for him down at turn 2. The rear end of the car just let go on the way through, and heavy contact with the tyre barriers. That's broken the drive shaft, and so he's not actually getting any drive there. This is what happened to him. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see it, but yeah, rest assured, he lost the rear end on the way into the turn, and well, unfortunately, the Eclipse Sim Sports driver who started this race in 20th place and was looking to work his way forward has had to tow back to the pits again.
It's a real shame, and so many cars have already been put on the back foot tonight as well, that this is not going to help their case going forward. We're getting a lot of cars banking up at turn 2 right now under this pace car because they're not filtering properly back here. And it just seems that everyone's, they've come in, I know it's the first round of the year, Reese, but it's like they've come in a little bit with their heads a bit cloudy and forgetting some of the procedures almost.
Yeah, some confusion over specifics of the procedure. I do apologize for all the throat clearing and coughing. Evidently, an object is in my throat and it's just not getting dislodged, which is quite a convenient problem for a commentator to have. But
probably the worst problem we could ever have, if any. It's not a fun time. Definitely not. But I believe with the wave rounds now completed, I would assume we'd be able to go green flag at the end of this lap. I mean, everyone's come past again, and there's plenty of space between them and the people that were a lap down. I suppose we'll see how it works out now, because we've been on the safety car, probably going to be on the safety car for about 10 minutes when it's all said and done. That can be a significant amount of fuel saved. You could probably save, or on average with the safety car, you save about a lap. Probably with this slightly extended safety car period, maybe they could save a lap or two, a lap and a half at least. So that could offset them just slightly towards the end, and might give them some breathing space in terms of some strategy plays towards the end of this race as well.
Yeah, it is an interesting situation, because we can't forget this is a timed race. It's not run to distance.
Yeah.
It's run over 2 hours, and so a safety car period affects ultimately the amount of laps that you need to run, and just by that token you end up saving a bunch of fuel anyway. Peter, you are back with us. Before we go back to green flag racing, what do you got?
Yeah, look, I'm only trying to catch up with some of the midfield guys that are around, and a few people had a bit of a rough start. Paul Heckle, for example, got caught up in something at the start of the race, and he's now 3 laps down. But he's going to do the race out, which is good. I love people that finish what they start. Not a fan of people who sort of, jump out of iRacing just because they have something wrong at the start. Yeah, I know it's not always the best, but Dean Mackay's pretty happy, pretty chuffed. He's up 31 spots right now, and the rest of his team, mate, are giving him a fair crack for being 31 up already, so that's fair too. But yeah, and everybody else, mate, I think they were glad to see the safety car at the time get their pit stops and away they go. Anyway, race about to start. Over to you guys.
Okay, so Damon Woods going to lead us away here once again. 1 hour and 22 minutes remain, and it's Woods versus Rattray White once again at the start of this field. Marino Morella dropped away from them late on in the stint before the safety car came out. Now the challenge is to see if he can stay in touch as we make our way to the green flag. Woods already bringing it away nicely. The Eclipse Aston Martin's weaving a little bit to maybe get a tiny bit of extra warmth into the tyres. Reese Wakefield is, oh wow, okay, that's a bit of oversteer for Morello. Oh no, Trent Allen has spun around out of turn 1, and it looks like we've got problems at the back as well. Oh my goodness. Marcus Watson was the other car that got spun. Coming up to the safety car, this is a really messy restart. Now number 27, Trent Allen, is around again. Austin Edwards dropping down the order. Absolute chaos here.
This is absolute chaos off the restart. And, well, often this is what can happen with safety cars. People will, they'll get into their brake, the rhythm has been broken, and all of a sudden it's a shambles. Everything comes unglued because everyone's taken too much of a breath. This was Allen's incident at turn 1. He took it just a little bit too wide, a little bit too much rear, and round she goes. Down to turn 1. Holds brakes well. Everyone has to avoid, and he's waiting and waiting and waiting for a chance to go. And I believe he waits, but just there's his teammate Curtis, and bang, straight into the side of the Porsche. And I know that you want to get going as soon as possible, but you've just, unfortunately, if you're like that, you've just got to suck it up and sit there. There's no point ruining out someone else's race like that, and that's a real shame.
That is, and Lewis Greathead, one of the casualties of all that. We saw him having to take avoiding action past Trent Allen. This is on board with him coming through turn 1. Allen spins up ahead, and at this point you're thinking, where do I go? Only place Greathead could go is to the right, and he ends up catching the end of the barrier there, which knocks off the front bumper of his Mercedes. So he's now got big damage as well. Seems to be holding on nicely to those ahead of him, but we don't know how the state of that car actually is. I think another consequence of this early safety car is The tyre model for the GT3s has to be taken into account too. It was only a relatively recent update to these cars. A lot less grip available at the start of a stint on fresh tyres or cool tyres. I would expect that a lot of drivers would have changed tyres at the pit stop here. Oh my goodness, yeah, that's the issue there for Marcus Watson, and another car spinning off Murray's corner on the restart too.
To give you the numbers here, Reece, so one thing that I did actually learn last year, and it's not often that I do actually learn something quite significant like this, but the numbers on a tyre stop for GT cars, 24 seconds is the time that they have to have a pit stop for to change all 4 tyres. Not many people in the field have taken a 24-second stop tonight. So I don't know how many of them have actually taken tyres in this first stint. I don't know if I would have after only half an hour. I may have just held on to them for the next stop to the hour and then taken some tyres. But yeah, I mean, if they've taken cold tyres, it's obviously going to be a problem. But for me personally, I would have held on to them. Pete, what about you?
Mate, I'm 100% with you. I would not have taken tyres at 30-minute mark, knowing that the GT3 model, when I drove at Fuji, it was lap 5 before you had full heat in the tyres, right? So you can lose significant time. Under safety car, even with the wall tyres, they're all going to lose a little bit of time. So yeah, nobody has taken tyres just based on those times. That's really straightforward. Dean Mackay, fellas. He's fun.
Hang on, Pete. Sorry, I've just noticed that Jordan Panazola is crabbing down Conrad Straight on the side of the track. That car's got significant damage. Lewis Greathead as well has already dropped major spots across the top of the mountain too with the front end off that car, and I believe that Lewis may have already used the fast repair in one of his first stops in this race. So just a little bit of info for you.
Yeah, so I was just saying, I was talking up Dean Mackay during the safety car period about making up 31 positions. As he come round Murray's corner to get the race started before the start-finish line, he moved the car. But he sat there in the middle of the track. Pretty much the whole field of the 30-odd cars behind him had to go either side of him, left or right, and Dean Mackay got back to the end of the field, and he's got to do all that work all over again. So there we go, fellas. So doesn't matter how good you're going, just that restart has caught a lot of people out. But yeah, he wasn't the only one, and there's a lot of other damaged cars out of that as well.
Yeah, just to give some extra context to the incident for Pianezzola, it looks like on the restart lap, Adam Jepson had a solo spin ahead of the pursuing pack, and Pianezzola was one of the cars that had to check up because he was broadside across the track, was Adam Jepson, and that created a little bit of a pile-up / traffic jam for quite a few drivers. Also involved in that was Alex Cattle, Logan Murphy, Corey Bennett, I believe Paul Heckel and Sam Chapman as well. So a lot of drivers with big issues off that restart. But for the moment, we'll be keeping our eyes on our leaders as Damon Woods continues to lead by half a second from Zach Rattray White. Marina Morello, Reese Wakefield and Brock Kelly still shadowing him here, but further problems. It looks like there might be Jack Bird there that's had further issues at turn 2. Rear wing gone, and I think rear drive shaft broken for the Aston Martin.
I think that car is just a little bit kaput up there. And but if realistically, if you want to be somewhere though, Reece, you want to be at the front. But I mean, this is an angry little pack of cars up towards turn 2. It's always going to end poorly, and it has indeed ended poorly with a car in the wall. So they're dropping off like flies right now. But if you want to be anywhere, you want to be up here amongst the top end, because these guys are keeping it nice and tidy. The mid pack, it's just messy right now. And honestly, I mean, yeah. So Dean Mackay, who's made the contact, that's why he's lost the front end of this car, and now he's going to try and nurse it back to pit lane once again. But they're just messy in the midfield tonight, Reece, and I think that's the story we've been telling thus far.
Yeah, very messy indeed. Here's Patrick Reardon, meanwhile, battling for 27th position. He's got Michael Brennan ahead, Benjamin Wilder behind, and the Motorsport Simworld Aston Martin gets the job done there. The exit of Murray's looks like Patrick having a few problems with power application out of the final corner there. Either that or he was just letting Benjamin go. It's a really jumbled field at the moment. I'm seeing so many drivers who are up and down double digits in positions. There's been so much going on out there.
mean, Andrew Scordeless up 35 at the moment, up to P17. So that the OPR driver has managed to get himself up the order. This was the moment at the final corner for that pro drive Mustang. He clipped that curve, so the car just got a bit too loose. He managed to pull it up. Very smart racing there. Just applied a bit of brake, just pulled it up and let the other car go. So Patrick Reed has kept himself in it. He's kept his other competitors in it as well by not putting his car in a dangerous position. So those guys are able to move on now as well. Lachlan Capel, we know he's got good pace, battling alongside Dylan Shepherd at this stage. The amount of battles these guys have had on track in multiple different categories, across multiple different series, and you can count it on, you need at least 4 hands probably to count it on how many they've had. But for both of them, I mean, top-level talents, of course, and for Lachlan, I mentioned earlier, new team for him this year, Orbit, Drop Air Motorsport, new environment. That can often be, though, a little push to gain something out of yourself. And, you know, that new environment can almost reinvigorate you just a touch. And, you know, with ERT's changes and how they're approaching racing and what they're focusing on, it was an opportunity for Capel to move over to Drop Bear and help those guys out, but let those guys help him as well.
Yes. A lot of teams in this community that have been long-standing, and some good relationships between them as well. One of the teams that's sort of newer on the scene is Max Boost, and I've had plenty of experience with watching them and their drivers on Tuesday nights in open wheel competition. Campbell Adams, one of the drivers that's on the outside looking in to the very top of the top. But the Lamborghini is looking stable and pacey right now. Adams just behind Connor Nixon here, getting chased by Matt Bailey as well, who we are not able to see at the moment. Campbell Adams trying up the inside. It's always an opportunity to maybe psych out the driver in front of you, but you really got to be fully alongside before you get to the braking zone to have any chance of making a pass at Griffin's usually.
Almost got to have it 50% done before the braking zone, don't you, Reece? And you're almost just completing the move at turn 2 up there. It's funny you mentioned Max Boost. You know, I've called some of their drivers races prior, a couple of years ago now. Back when Ocean Colangelo was a full part of that team before she became a part-time driver for ERT as well. So, you know, that team's had a lot of talent come through it. Some at Sim Sports as well. These guys have had some good talent come through their ranks as well. And for Matt Bailey, he's sitting in a pretty comfortable P12 at this stage of the race. You know, we're only about 12 minutes away from the 50% marker. And if he can continue just to gain up the position tower just a little bit here, could get himself a nice and tasty P10 or top 10 finish here tonight. So could be a good one on the line for Matt Bailey. Pete, you're back with us. What's the info? What's the word? And so what are the drivers saying out there?
Yeah, I just went to check in with Dean Mackay and see how he's doing. Fortunately, he was able to get the car back to the pits. He still had a fast repair up his sleeve, so no harm done. You know, obviously a little bit of ego, you know, browbeaten, but he's going to fight out the end. The boys in that team sort of, I got a feeling there's still going to be 1 or 2 more safety cars. So there's a long way to go in this race yet, and he's going to fight back. So good on him.
You know what I really make it interesting right now, Reece, after Damon sets the fastest lap? If we got a safety car before or just after the next pit stops.
Yeah, certainly. There's always an opportunity for it. Well, Andrew Dutch, who's been at the centre of a couple of incidents today, 23rd place, and finding his way up very nicely. Looks like up 30 positions now from his starting spot. It really speaks to the philosophy of just keeping it safe, continuing as best you can, avoiding incidents, and a little dose of luck, a little sprinkle here and there is often what makes success at Mount Panorama. He's currently involved in this fight with Trent Stapleton and Alan Dawson. Dawson, who's one of the drivers who's been struggling a little to make his way up the order, I believe up 5 places for the moment. But looking like he's going to rear things up here across the top of the mountain. Cloud coming over the circuit. That's going to briefly bring the track temperature down, maybe by a fraction of a degree, but often, Hamish, that is enough for a significant difference in handling and pace.
Oh, you know, the cooler the track temperature gets, obviously slightly more grip then can be applied under those tyres. So, you know, drivers will be relishing in the fact if this track temp does get a little bit cooler, especially with these nice warm slick tyres on board these GT cars. As we ride with Marie Dussol, one of our One of our Danes out there for us tonight for Nordic Racing on board the Aston Martin. That was a very, very close moment up at Skyline as he came down the S's. Just didn't hit the second part of the chicane proper and nearly buried it in the wall just before turn 13. So he came away unscathed, luckily, Pete, but that could have easily been a safety car worthy moment as Woods again with the fastest lap of the race, 2:02.0. He's getting faster, track's getting faster, and the pace and the pressure starting to rise.
Yeah, look at the track temperature. It was 31 before, now it's 27, Peter, sorry.
Yeah, no, so I was going to say the track has dropped off quite a bit, so expect to see, and what are we? We're a few laps now into the stint, so the tyres are going to be right at their best to get some good times. And with only a 50% fuel tank, boys, remember, these cars don't get full fuel, so they've got good green tyres to get about 5 laps in, which gives them about sort of 30 litres of fuel left. That's almost qualifying fuel, right? So we should be able to see some fast laps for the race.
Campbell Adams, meanwhile, just breaking into the top 10 and still defending nicely from Connor Nixon and Matt Bailey. The pass was made a little earlier on. That's very wide for car number 62 of Alan Dawson. And I've just noticed another car that's been spun at the entry to the Dipper. Unfortunately, Jack Bird is having a torrid time, and it appears Andrew Dutch has had issues coming out of turn 1. 2 cars that have had issues on this lap, Hamish.
Just towed it back to pit lane, so I believe, Pete, we also have request to tow in the racing, or in the race procedure, don't we, if I'm correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
So he may...
Tows without approval might face the big DQ, mate.
So that's not going to be a good look there for Mr. Dutch. But Jack Bird's done the right thing. He's waiting in position. He's just, I think he's just actually turned the car back around again. So he's actually pushing on. He's not having to tow back. He's waiting for a gap here. Campbell Adams is bringing it to those Orbit Drop Bear cars right now. He is making a claim at that position. This is what happened to Dutch as he went round down at turn 1. Big damage on that car. Big hit as well. A big hit on the ego. And I wonder, Reese, if maybe he's actually clicked the wrong button there and towed back to pit lane, and he meant to actually call the radio to press the tow, or maybe just a little bit missed about it.
It's possible. It's possible. This is what happened to Bird. Another solo error. Too much curve down through the S's, and the front end gets clobbered. But yeah, in a very difficult spot. You know, I lost count of the amount of times I've seen a car on a broadcast spun there. The amount of time that you have to wait in order to even get going is so difficult, because yeah, you might have your F3 black box up, and you really should to see who's coming, but when you're in that position, you actually can't see with your own eyes where the cars are when they're coming. So you're taking a bit of a chance trying to get the car turned back around there. Again, Campbell Adams, he's on the move. He's made his way up into Pete's end now, and is looking at the back of Sam Sutton, the number 680 for Orbit Drop Bear. A former teammate of mine, in fact, is Sam Sutton. We were together for a while at Dayco Motorsports, which was then folded into Fusion Sim Racing. But Sam has been out of the sim for a while over the last couple of years. His work and his life taking him away from the wheel occasionally, but he's back to racing for the last year or so, and it seems he has lost none of his pace. But Adams is starting to put the pressure on. 2:02.9 on the last lap for Campbell Adams. Compare that to a 2:03.4 for Sam Sutton. Looks like the Lamborghini will be about to get another position.
Reese, as a man who attempted the Spa 24-hour in a Lamborghini, it's great to see the Lambo back in and out of obscurity, out there, back to being a selectable car again in the GT format, and it's great to see it being raced so well right now by Campbell Adams. So, but it's to compound what you said about Sam Sutton, obviously coming back within the last year to sim racing. It's a great story, isn't it, when we can get old friends or even acquaintances through sim racing, and we notice they've come back and they're reapplying themselves once again, and it's a return of an old friend as Adam Burhock enters down towards the chase, got some pressure in behind him, and I think we're under safety car again.
Another old friend has reappeared, and it's the safety car.
It has. Have they fixed the engine yet, I wonder?
No, apparently they haven't. Oh no, Michael Brennan spun at the cutting, That's quite the issue that he suffered there, and obviously no chance of getting it rolling. So everyone's going to have to stay tight there, Peter. But it appears that the safety car's technical issues have not been fixed yet. We're effectively under virtual safety car for this first round.
Yeah, I'm surprised because even the safety car does get a fast repair. So I'm surprised that they haven't been able to fix that. So unless it just happened before they called it. But the safety car sounds like it's out. He's just started it out. He's in pit lane. I think he's going to wait now for the pack to come back around. Oh, yeah, no. Damon Woods looks like he's just managing virtual safety car speeds at just under 80k an hour. So. Important one here as well, Pete. So there's a pack of cars that have actually come in pit lane. Alan Dawson, Adam Burhop, Stapleton, Bell, Watson, Webber, Reardon, Lord, DeSaul and Chapman have all come into pit lane as well as Pine Castle, Cattle. Whilst this top end, it's a real shame.
Yeah, that's the NSX there of, I think, Corey Bennett, potentially.
There is about to be such a disadvantage now for these front runners because all of a sudden those cars that have just come into pit lane, they're going to come straight past them when the front runners have to come in because ultimately these guys are going to need to pit at this point, Reeks, because we're close enough to the pit stop that if they don't, they're going to have to do it under green and they're going to end up further back. And if they do, they're still going to end up down the order as well. So these guys not coming in because of the safety car, this has hurt them slightly. And those guys that have come in, they're about to get a very significant track position advantage comparatively to the current race leader, Damon Woods. So it appears that Woods, Rattray, White and co, they're going to have some work to do now to get themselves back to the front in the final hour.
They'll obviously be hoping for fresh tyres at this point too. Corey Bennett, that's just unlucky. Michael Brennan evidently thought that he would have enough time to get the car turned around there, but Bennett had practically no warning of where that Mustang was going to be. Probably assumed that Brennan would still be on the inside on exit, but trying to make that that move backwards at the exact wrong time, and so Mr. Bennett is an innocent victim in all of that. Really tough race for him, languishing in those sort of lower midfield positions, and it looks like things have just gotten a little bit worse for him. So here we go then, touring down Conrod Straight at 80 k's an hour, Peter. These guys will be coming into pit lane this time round. I mean, you'd be a fool not to at this point, but as Hamish was saying before, the drivers that came in behind them just after the safety car was called are going to get a great advantage out of this.
Well, I was going through my head, and I knew we had a few laps after the safety car period last time, and I was just trying to work out how many minutes of racing that might have given anybody who stayed out. But because most of the guys in that top 15 are not in Discord, so let me shout that out. Right, so you guys up the front, come in Discord so you can be part of this broadcast and be part of it for us. But anyway, so I did get to chat with Kurt Chapman in AITT. He's currently sitting in 16th out of that pack of 18 that didn't go into the pits, and everybody else behind him was pits. And my question to Kurt was, how much fuel you got, mate? He goes, I can't use the word he used, not much. So boys, they expect them all to come in, and yeah, this is going to be a strategic disadvantage for those that have been up front. This race is about to get wild.
Oh boy, here we go then. Our leaders come in, Hamish. It's going to be a battle of the pit crews. Whether or not we're going to be seeing tyres taken on this stop as well. You know, the tyres on a GT3 car will last more than an hour easily, which is why I thought under the first pit cycle some drivers would be taking tyres, because a 90-minute race, you know, you can probably stretch the tyres. But with an hour to go, we're seeing pit lane become a hive of activity, and moving through to the front of the field is the Orbit drop bear machine there of
Sam Sutton.
Sutton.
Now, this is interesting. So Sutton, Ellis, Green and Chapman have opted not to come in. I think this is a massive mistake because they need a stop. I don't see a world where they can keep going.
Yeah, that's difficult.
No, so they can do about 4 more laps, guys. So
I think the problem is though, Pete. The problem is though, if they have to do a green flag stop, they're going to be cooked because they're going to be right at the end of the field.
No doubt about it. Absolute no doubt about it. But But hey, if you're going to roll the dice, you might as well roll the dice. I don't get it. You know, I think that the lesser of two evils in this case was to do what Damon and Zach and the rest of them did, which was to come in and drop what's Damon dropped 14 spots.
There's rolling the dice on the roulette table, and there's throwing the dice off a bridge into a lake, and I think they've just thrown the dice off the bridge.
Maybe another safety car will help fix that problem for them. But you know, it's a difficult gamble to take, if it even is a gamble in the first place.
It's like playing blackjack without looking at the cards. I mean, you know, if you don't know what's in your hand, you don't know what to bet, and these guys are just blind bet their way to the front. There is some lap traffic ahead of them, of course, but ultimately, I think they've just thrown this away because there was no point in staying out at this stage of the race. There's no point.
Yeah, there's lost all of the time advantage that you get from under safety car. And that's the bit I don't understand. So that's where the guys that did come in that second lap, they've lost some track position, but they haven't lost 20, 30 seconds of track time, which time is very, very difficult to make up.
Especially so close to a green flag restart as well. There are guys even further back who've stayed out again. Allen's stayed out. Cattle stayed out as well. No point in them staying out at this stage. Even Murphy and Dodd staying out. They're better off just coming into pit lane. I mean, it's the old mentality, Reese, of you got a safety car, you pit because it's a free stop. You know, that's the old adage, and ultimately it's a well-known and well-used strategy because it works.
Let me put something to you guys. Something that just stood out to me. Eli Donaldson, Matt Webber, Isaac Curtis. Guys who have had a terrible run already in this race, almost went back to the back of the field, and look where they are now. Eli Donaldson is effectively P4. Isn't that a classic story of never give up, particularly at Bathurst?
Yeah, excellent stuff indeed.
There is one world I see this working out for them, Reese. It is they can go to a point where there's 40 minutes to go or 50 minutes to go.
Save to the end.
And there's enough safety cars that they can fuel save to the end. That is the only world in which I see this working for them.
Yeah.
The big gamble.
It's a very bizarre decision by some drivers to stay out. And I mean, the safety cars have been fortuitously timed so far in this race. They've coincided almost perfectly with when they'd be coming into the pits anyway.
It's almost like it's scripted, isn't it, Reese? It's like we're pulling out the perfect script tonight. But
indeed.
Lap traffic coming past, interesting strategies at play. It's endurance racing. It's what happens. We sometimes get some bold strategies. Oftentimes it can pay off and other times it cannot. And statistically speaking, I don't think these are going to pay off for them, but maybe they know something that we don't. And maybe they know something that we just haven't quite figured out yet. I've noticed again, no one's taken tyres of significant. No drivers of significant position have taken tyres. So I actually think they're waiting until that final stop to take the tyres because it's a bit hard to push the double stint nowadays on the GT cars with those tyres. But maybe they do, maybe they don't. As more cars are in pit lane.
Yeah. Okay. So it looks like it's Docil, Capel, Broad, Bass and Nixon that have come in, majority of the Orbit Drop Bear squad, and I think this is a ploy by them to get that little bit extra fuel now so that they can push the car a little bit further towards the final stop. And I just wanted to mention as well with the way the tires work in GT3, they do use tire warmers in this class, but the tires still start quite cold, and on the current GT3 tyre model, for the first maybe 4 laps or so, you're driving on ice skates. It's really difficult to get up to speed, which, really factors into when you want to take those tyres. I'm in agreement with the both of you that if I was in this race, I would want to take my tyres at this stop just gone, because then I wouldn't have to deal with that long warm-up period, which is going to take almost half of the final stint if they change tyres at the last stop.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I've noticed too, so we just mentioned then that those Orbit Drop Bear cars came in topped up with fuel. No tyres again, so they've just taken fuel just to offset themselves slightly compared to the rest of the field. But it's going to be interesting now how this plays out. I don't mind the thought process of them, though, that if they were to go, I don't think they will, but if they were to go another lap, you come around again and you come straight in and you take that another lap of fuel, because you're just going to continue to offset yourself the longer this period goes on. But with probably 51 minutes, Pete, to go when we go back to green, they're probably about 10 minutes away from a fuel save scenario where they could get home with this stop. So I think unless we get bulk safety cars going forward and these guys can make another 10 minutes at the front who haven't pitted yet, then I don't think they're going to make it in terms of their certain strategy now they're trying to pull out to get themselves a race win.
I'm not sure that top four are on the right thing. I think those that pitted first off they have got a lucky break. I think it's also a massive risk what the job our guys just did, and they didn't really lose many spots. They only lost sort of 3 to 5 spots to come and do that. But what they've done effectively is they've put themselves in a position where they're behind guys that have been not slow comparatively to them, but have been in that midfield battle pack situation. Yep. So consequently, Orbit Drop there now has got to fight the midfield to get through. And I mean, so does Damon Patrick and Zach Ratway-White. They've still got the midfield fight, but it's not near as deep as the Orbit Drop there guys. So that's a hell of a risk to take in terms of
they're in the danger zone right now. They've just gone straight to the front line of where it has been most chaotic throughout this race, Reese. And ultimately, I think they've just put their pressure gauges up a heap, because now they're stuck in a spot where, yes, they're quick, yes, they can be clean, but they can't control what the other drivers are going to do. And ultimately, in the midfield, that's where it's been the most uncontrolled.
Yeah, we have got a very interesting green flag run ahead of us here. Safety car appears to be ending here. The leader has control, and Sam Sutton gets on the power early this time. Green flag flies, and we are away with 52.5 minutes remaining in the first round of the season. Sam Sutton leads the way from Stuart Ellis. Top 3 rounded out by Jaden Green. Meanwhile, look at the weaving further back there. Oh no, there's drivers that have spun out of Murray's. Matt Webber is around and he's lost his rear wing. That's caused yet more chaos here on the restart. Oh, this is a crazy first round. No idea who's going to come up on top. Marcus Watson also spinning. Everyone practically spinning out of turn 1. Oh my goodness. Alan, Kelly, Cattle, Harry Dodds as well. The track is almost blocked out of turn 1. It looks like Campbell Adams might also be involved in that too.
This will be a safety car for sure.
Absolutely. And boys, I was watching the Orbit Drop there, guys, and yet they have been impacted by that. Locking cable has dropped. Like, not significantly, but locking cables dropped to the back of that group. They've all mixed themselves up. They've all had a little bit of car damage or contact from it. So yeah, high risk.
If this is a safety car, these front 4 have got to come in. They've got to jump in.
They have to.
If they do not come in now, this is the biggest blunder I think we've already seen all season. We're only in round 1, so it's not much to go by. But yeah, they've got to come straight in now. This should be a safety car with 3 cars off the track, stuck down at turn 1. Unless those cars are moving, I think the safety car is going to make another appearance, and I think these guys are going to hop straight in. Now, I think the hope will be here, Reese, as we watch with Marcus Watson on this incident. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, look at that. No. Oh, that destroyed the suspension, and I think that might be what ultimately triggered the issues coming out of turn 1 here. Yep. No, Watson stayed out of it. He went straight on. So all of the chaos was happening behind him there.
So I think now, the hope now is, right, so if this is a safety car and these top 4 come in, the thought process will be okay, well, if we get another safety car, that's going to be another 10 minutes. And all of a sudden we can get home. But look at, I mean, it is a Hiroshima level nuclear bomb down at turn 1.
Oh, man.
Just a multitude of incidents going off all at once, all separate to each other. And it's come together in what is turned into a turn 1 car park. As
Sutton's around! No! Stuart Shaw as well! Oh, that was almost precision parking there from Stuart Shaw. Oh, another Aston Martin goes around. That's Marino Marilla. What's going on?
They've all caught the sand. Surely they've either all caught the sand or they've caught the curb. and those Aston Martins are starting to break away. Is this the nail in the coffin for those Astons? Are the rear tyres overheated, or are they too cold? And all of a sudden, they can't handle it.
Who's even leading right now? Stuart Ellis.
Stuart Ellis.
Goodness me. Jaden Green and Kurt Chapman running out of top 3 as the 77 and Marino Morella continues to have issues there, impacting the tyre barriers through turn 2. The man who started in 3rd, another driver is around across the top. It's Adam Burhop. It looks like our pole sitter Damon Woods almost ran into him there. I mean, at this point of the race, the second safety car, the aftermath of that, has completely turned this race on its head.
It completely flipped it on its head. It's given it a facial reconstruction surgery as well. This is where the 10 mil spanner's gone, because it's been thrown into the works now, and what it's done is it's completely changed the race as multiple cars are involved down at one. Just a messy incident down there. Oh my God.
Some drivers just charging into the wreck, unfortunately, and oh my goodness.
And if tonight's like this race, what's Adelaide going to be?
Perish the thought. I don't even want to think about that right now. Fortunately, Adelaide is going to be 2 1-hour sprints, so the drivers won't have to think as far forward as they have to at the other rounds. But yeah, I mean, hopefully the round 1 gremlins are worked out by Adelaide.
I hope so, but the point you make there about it being a sprint round is they're not going to have the endurance race mentality, they're going to have the sprint race mentality, so it may be even more chaotic because they've got less time to get to the front of the field. Oh my God, it is going to be something to keep your eyes on, something to keep your eyes peeled to right here on PL, not just for the Open Series, but for the Limited Series as well. We've still got another Bathurst race to go through before the next round. I mean, it's going to be, in my opinion, Pete, first 2 rounds, we are in for giga chaos right now, and it's absolute cinema.
Yeah, I'm rethinking my desire to race.
I think Rankin might be as well.
Yeah, Scott Rankin in the YouTube chat here. He's going to be racing in the Limited Series as well. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. Well, I think we should reset ourselves and get settled into this new phase of the race that we've suddenly found ourselves in. We're keeping an eye on Andrew Scordalis, who's up behind Sam Sutton, who's made his recovery back out onto circuit, now sitting P17 behind Logan Murphy, Matt Bailey, Patrick Reardon. It's looking a little bit leery there in the midfield. Ellis, Green and Healy have kept themselves stable up the front of the field, but a pit stop is surely coming for Ellis and Green. They are on the 16th lap of their stint. They've been able to save fuel under safety car to push the stint a little bit longer, but I don't know how much longer it is going to last. Kurt Chapman is at the moment looking to make his move here to get up into 2nd place, and get the feeling that these other cars will be coming into the pits very shortly indeed.
We'll see how this all pays out. 46.5 minutes to go here at Bathurst. And it has, the time has flown by. There we go. So Green in, but he's going to go straight to the end of the train because it's a green flag pit stop. The risk versus reward was barely anything because he's gained something. He stayed out of the trouble. Yes, they'll gain some spots here, Reese, but ultimately they're going to bury themselves out of the back of the field.
Sutton now up into P15. Meanwhile, we did hear mention from Dan Yeaman, the owner of Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport, that Sutton had a hunch, and that's the reason why he stayed out of pit lane. But ultimately, his spin out of turn 1, I think, has negated all of that. A real shame. It would have been interesting to see what Sutton could have done with whatever plan he had in mind. But interesting to note that Stuart Ellis has stayed out for another lap here at the front of the field. Evidently, the OPR Mercedes is getting some extra mileage on top of the extra mileage that he got out of the safety car. Keeping an eye then on Sam Sutton here as he'll be... Oh, actually, no, sorry, that's Mark Healy, my apologies, the number 59, who... is finding his way up to the back here of the Porsche. It looks like Kurt Chapman, and apparently a lot of pace on board there of the Aston Martin. While we've got a moment, huge thanks to the sponsors of this series, of course, Motorsport Simworld and SuitSpeed. SuitSpeed's going to be providing some prizes at the end of the season. Winners of both the Open and Limited series are going to receive PEL shirts and gloves, courtesy of SuitSpeed and Kibby Graphics, who's also on board as one of the supporters of this season. Championship trophies will be awarded to podium finishers at the end of the season in both the Open and Limited series. So I think with how chaotic this first round has been, I think pretty much every driver is going to be in contention at this point.
Stuart Ellis is now into pit lane as well, by the way, Reese. So to give the update on the pit stop, so Ellis came in on 14. Chapman had come in on 14 as well. They've just begun lap 32. So Ellis only managed, with that safety car, he managed to do himself 28 laps on his stint, maybe 27 laps to the minimum. And Chapman's now going for his 28th lap here. So it's a long stint with that safety car involved as well. It's going to be an interesting game to the end of this race, but I think unless the safety car was called right now, no hope for Chapo to hold position up here. I think he's going to get shoved down, and right now it looks like it's going to be Mark Hilly that's going to try and give him one position less at this stage of the race as he leads the way.
He's getting held up a little, though. His big chance was to move past at the cutting, but Kurt Chapman was protecting the inside line just enough to hold on. And across the top, it's really hard to get alongside, let alone make a pass. So we'll be seeing the field somewhat cleansed of strategy question marks, but I'm wondering if Peter has anything else to tell us.
Well, I just jumped in with Paddy Reardon to see how he's going, because all those Orbit drop bear cars were I won't say harassing him, they were just coming at him really fast. So Paddy just took yep, they're too fast for me, I'll just let them pass. We didn't defend and raced his own race. So a really level head there from Paddy, and good on him. He's in there and going well, still running 19th. Hamish, talking about how many laps, remember it was 14 maximum, 15 with a little bit of fuel saving, so potentially with that safety car you might get 16 out of a tank, so that could take Kurt Chapman to as far as lap 30, and guess what, we're getting really close to that 40-minute mark you're talking about with the safety car.
Indeed, I will just correct myself, he had gone 18 laps, my math was completely off on the last moment, so yeah, 18 laps, in he comes now, so yeah, 18, so he saved roughly 4 laps on that stint. So that's thanks to the safety car period. So what that could maybe mean for us is, well, they all came in on lap 24. We're up to lap 33. They've done about 9 laps down on that stint.
Right. So, yeah, keeping an eye on for our front runners here. Damon Woods has worked his way back to second in the midst of all of this, and he is taking time out of Mark Healy hand over fist. Eli Donaldson, who managed to get himself on strategy with the front runners through that second safety car period, has elevated himself up to what should be a provisional P4 for now. We've got to wait and see what Healy does, because looking at the pace between them, it looks like Damon Woods is running about half a second faster than him at the moment and is gradually catching up. Woods, by the way, recently brought the fastest lap down to a 2:01.9. There's some crazy pace in that Motorsport Simworld Aston Martin at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's mega pace at this stage for Damon, and there's a reason why we said Damon and Zach were going to be our top 2 picks at the start of the night race, because they showed the pace early in qualifying. And even with this old strategy of some drivers who have stayed ahead of them by getting the pit stop in early, they've managed to just fight their way back through, get themselves back up the front. Now they've only got 1 car to get past before they're back in the positions they were in, that being Mark Hilly. So, there's still that little bit of work to be done. I mean, there's a massive IR discrepancy between them. It's it's nearly 8K between Mark Hilly and Damon Woods alone. But we'll see if Mark Hilly can hold his own against him.
Into the chase then, Damon Woods bringing things up to the rear and having to back out slightly as Healy wasn't able to carry as much speed at the apex. This is a good opportunity for Rattray White, actually. ZRW will be seeing Damon Woods struggle to get past Healy here, at least for a few more corners. He gets the exit of turn 1 right. He'll be able to get up the inside at Griffins, but this is a good opportunity for Woods to latch on to the back. For Rattray White to latch onto the back of Woods and see what more he can do. On board then with the Eclipse Sim Sports number 17, and Rattray White is the picture of focus right now. All the same, looking pretty calm. I know that I would be looking a bit sweatier than that.
Glistening off the brow for me at this stage if I'm in Zach's position, but we know he's cool, calm and collected. I've had the pleasure to call a couple of his races before now. I must mention, this is the first time I've seen someone with 10k or more I rating in a race that I'm calling. Thanks, Damon, for that there. But pressure's on right now for Rattray White. He's got to try and take advantage.
Yeah, and you could see that Woods was unsuccessful in getting past Healy at the cutting. So this is going to be another lap where Damon is going to have to try everything he can to keep Rattray White behind. Look at the speed he's carrying across the top. Of course, this is an open setup series, so there'll be different strengths and weaknesses with how the teams have set up their cars. Maybe some of them have trimmed out the rear wing a little bit more for the straights. Some may be a bit quicker across the top. It's hard to tell at this stage. Defensive for Healy, narrow line into Forest Elbow. Puts the power down nicely and is roughly equal with Woods on the exit. But now the slipstream of Conrod Straight comes. And can Damon Woods get past Healy and give Rattray White something else to think about?
Yeah, you've got to try and think now, how are you going to try and pressure him? How are you going to try and force Damon to make this move? Because for Rattray White, he wants to try and take advantage, but Woods wants to try and run away. Outside line into the chase. Can Damon Woods pull this up? No, he can't. Through goes Healy, manages to hold on. And it must be said, the defensive acumen right now, Mark Healy, is top-level stuff. He's holding back one of the best sports car drivers in Australia and holding on to a race lead here for Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport. If he can hold on here, Reese, this is going to be the toughest 38 minutes possibly of Mark Healy's sim racing career.
Yeah, this is crazy stuff. All it takes, though, is a tiny little error on the exit of turn 1 and the slipstream kicks in. But Healy is certainly used to winning in other leagues. He knows how to keep a fast driver behind. Part of that is staying to the right-hand side of the circuit on the way into turn 2. Woods tries his best to widen the entry and get a bit more speed at the apex, but again, it's not happening. Will the cutting provide another opportunity? Rattray White is ever closer, and we can't forget about Eli Donaldson, Reese Wakefield and co behind. They've caught back up to these guys with Healy holding up our leaders.
But right now, if you're in Damon Woods' position, Reese, not only are you thinking, God, I got to get past him, got to get past him, got to get past him, you're also thinking, oh God, I can't let Zach pass me. Oh God, I can't let Zach pass me. Because if he lets Rattray White go, I don't know if there's a world in which he's going to be able to maybe get past him again. He's in two minds. He's like, well, I've got to get through, I've got to keep it clean, and I've got to hold back Rattray White. And this is one of the toughest positions to be in racing, because he's only got so many choices he can make. This is either going to blow up in his face, or he's somehow going to get the job done cleanly. As they come through Forest Elbow, he's got to try and maximise the run now down Conrod. Oh my God. The pressure that Healy is feeling right now is monumental. Has Woods got the run though that he needs down Conrod Straight? He'll have to show the nose early if he wants it at the chase, but I feel that Healy may force him to the outside if he's going to go for it down here. As they come through, Healy tries to defend. Woods puts it on the outside. Can he get him under brakes, or is Healy going to hold him off again? He holds him off again. He's done a great job to do it. And I think if you're Woods, you've now got to think ahead and think, well, let's try and maximise the run off turn 1. If I can maximise the run off turn 1, I might be able to get it done. But instead, he's going to dive him under brakes down to the final corner. Can Woods get through here? Oh my God, one for Rattray White. He may go for it as well.
Oh, so Woods and Rattray White are now finally past Mark Healy, and what a great defense it was from the number 59, who started, remember, in 22nd place. Healy is way out of position to where we would have expected him here, but unsure exactly how the race pace of that Aston Martin compares to qualifying. But now The battle is between Damon Woods and Zach Rattray-White once again. Tyson Broad, meanwhile, with issues at Forest Elbow. Huge contact with the tyre barrier, and the number 72 with that contact has unfortunately fallen by the wayside once again. He's managed to bring it into the pits cleanly, though. Back to the battle for the front, though. Healy has lost the lead, but he is on the same strategy as everyone around him. He is where he deserves to be, on his pace and on his pit strategy here. Can Eli Donaldson and Reese Wakefield now do anything about this and fight further into the top 3?
Well, he's going to have to try and push on. I mean, Donaldson's going to start to pressure him, but he can't let it get to him, though, that he's allowed Woods and Rattray-White past him. He's got to push on. He's got to take the advantage now of what he's got himself through the pit strategy that he pulled. And for Mark Healy, as Daniel Yeaman has tried to correct us on, so thank you again. Mr. Yeaman. But what he has to do now is just focus ahead. Be thankful and be grateful for the fact that you're still in P3. Be thankful and grateful for the fact that it didn't end in tears for you when they were coming past. Push on, hold on to the gap, hold on for your life, because you've got 35 minutes to go racing until the checkered flag.
Oh boy, and right on cue, Peter Baxter is with us again. What have you got for us, mate?
Well, gents, the teams are all thinking about when is the best time to take the last pit stop and who has done what in the last pit stop, so they can try and work out where they fit. Because obviously, as you and I know, and anybody who might be listening to the broadcast, there's quite a bit of difference in the sequences of all the cars right now. So that's the current thinking. The boys in the AITT a little bit happier now. They've gone from the back of the grid to the front of the grid, courtesy of the pit cycle the way it is. They know in their mind that they've got a few seconds of extra fuel that they have to take compared to others, but they're just happy to be back in the fight. So that's really cool. Dropped in with Paul Heckel, and he's currently up 3 spots from his starting spot. So the poor dude had a crash at the first lap. Went into the pits, his fast repair didn't work, so he had to do a 6 minutes of repair to come back out, and that's what's put him down 2 laps. But now he's pulled himself back up from pretty much effectively last to 30 seconds. So good on you, Paul. Well done for staying in the race. So they're also, if you note, Dean Mackay, 47 positions up. Last time I said that, he went down to the back of the grid. So I hope there is no commentators cursing that. But again, good to see someone go down, the ups and downs, but make the most of a good result and get back up there. But yeah, there's a whole pit cycle to go. Everybody's on different fuel strategies and different times. If we go green, it'll be all different. Over to you, boys.
Oh, yeah, that was a very difficult moment for Andrew Skordelis there. Skordelis with a great run up through the field, up 41 places at the moment, which is fantastic to see. Was fighting with Matt Bailey for the last positions in the top 10, but that little touch with the puddle of death has put paid to that. Here's Dean Mackay then in the TriStar Racing Aston Martin, Hamish, and yeah, Peter's right. This is one heck of a run. He started from pretty much the back. He went back to the back after his incident earlier on, and through some tweaking of the strategy and taking advantage of the safety cars, he is now in P6, or P7, sorry, just behind Isaac Curtis, who's another driver who we've seen have plenty of issues in this one.
Isn't it a great story for just stay in it, just push on and just hope for the best race? Because often at times drivers will get into incidents and they'll call it early and they'll say race is done. Both of these guys have been in the wall. Both of these guys have been in the wars tonight as well. And now they're both back in this race. They're both back in for a possibility of a top 5 finish. Hell, even if it goes their way, it could be a top 3. I mean, that's the sort of chaos that's been ensuing tonight. It's Donaldson on the outside of Hilly. Can he get this job done? He's still alongside up towards the cutting here. I think he can get it done. He does indeed, and Mark just lets him go. Fights for another day. And Donaldson, what a drive tonight. Has been out there without a rear wing. And it's the story of fairy tales for the top 10. 3 different cars up here within this pack have ended up with damaged cars tonight. Donaldson, Curtis, and Dean Mackay as well. And it's great to see all 3 of them fighting back and fighting amongst the top 10 for a podium finish tonight.
It's the kind of race, the kind of story that you only really see at Mount Panorama, with how much the safety car factors into everything around here. Looking a bit further back, Stuart Shaw running 18th at the moment in car number 93. Got Ben Jeffrey and Patrick Reardon on the back of him here, sorry, 17th. It would appear that, oh no! Kurt Chapman's around! Oh, and that's a really bad spot. Inside exit turn 2. Driver's coming up on him is going to have to be very careful there. Unfortunately, the Revolution E-Racing Porsche has come a cropper at Griffin's Bend, and it looks like pretty significant damage to the right-hand side.
This has happened to him. Look at this, former teammate of his, Jaden Green. Of course, Chapo was previously at Project 36 in 2025. He's now made contact with his former teammate, and he's ended up in the wall. And ironically for Chapman, of course, RER and Project 36, they've had a working relationship together before. And now those two teams, with the driver swap, there's no love lost between them as it's getting hairy here for Mark Hilly. Oh my God, Dean Mackay trying to see up his inside. They're banging doors again. Get through cleanly, boys. Please, please, please get through cleanly. They managed to. Off the road, though, Isaac Curtis gets it loose. This could give Mackay a run to get back at him up the hill.
Certainly could. Isaac Curtis with a little bit of a hard push through turn 1. Very lucky escapes there for Mark Hilly as well, with some panel rubbing down the start-finish straight, but still holding on to a top 10. Let's see what Alan Dawson can do, though. Alan, a driver that we haven't focused on all that much in this race, the number 62, has had his fair share of Bathurst-related foibles and pitfalls, but he finds himself in a position where he could gain a few more spots here if everyone has problems ahead. Mark Hilly is pushing so hard up the hill there. I think that's the 3rd time in a row I've seen him clip the wall through Reed Park.
Pushing hard at this stage. The story for Alan Dawson tonight, chipping away. He's up 22 spots now inside of the top 10. And then another driver who's been chipping away tonight as well, Pete, Andrew Scordalis, up 41 to P11. That there is a showing of survival for those two guys, and how important it is to stay consistent and to try and stay clean.
Absolutely. I've been watching Andrew Scordalis most of the race, but I haven't been able to say much because he's not in Discord. I really wanted to have a chat. He's had an absolute cracker race, but I couldn't get whether he'd had a poor qualifying or what to be able to sort of end up down the field the way it is. So anyway, back to you guys.
That's right. I was about to say Lachlan Capel's just gone round up just after the dipper. Oh no! Hold the brakes, Lachlan. That was millimetre stuff there, Reese. That was so tight. This is how it happened. As he pulled a Chaz Mostert. It looks as if he has, just a couple of corners up.
Yeah, the exit of the Dipper is one of those spots at this circuit that it doesn't seem like much, as Mackay comes into pit lane. 15 laps completed for him, so he's setting himself up now for the final stint. The first driver to take what we're thinking is the last stop of the race here. Whether or not that's going to work out for him remains to be seen. But yeah, exit of the Dipper, there is a bit of grass beyond the curb there, and it looks like that's what car number 8 ended up collecting.
I have been trying to jump in because, yes, you're right, we are now, for green flag conditions, we are now pit stop and you're good to the end, right? So everybody has one stop to go. Everybody has a different amount of fuel they've got to put in the car. But if you stop from now, you can take the tyres or whatever. If you haven't taken them, you can get to the end.
So, Ryan Bell also jumping into the pits. Lachlan Capel's come in, no surprise there. Corey Bennett and Harry Dodds as well. All emerging now around about just outside of the top 20. Keeping an eye on the battle for 10th and 9th there, with Scordalis and Bailey going at it. Donaldson and Wakefield as well, battling over P3 at the moment. And it would appear that everyone up the front is more or less equal on pit stop times from the previous cycle, so I would expect them more or less to all come in around the same time. The driver D. Mackay was a bit of an outlier there, taking the pit stop a lap early. Have to wonder how that's going to work out for me.
Or maybe he's hoping for possibly a possible undercut, maybe if he can get one. It would also depend if he's come out in clean air tonight too, and obviously if he's come out amongst the pack, well, he's not really going to get that clean air. Well, he's come out in behind. He's come out in behind another car. This is here the Mustang of the 219. Yeah, Ethan Bass. So Just getting, oh my God, real loose up at Reed Park. That car's taking a slight bit of damage at this stage. And just by the way, Reese, not this previous lap by, but the one prior, fastest lap of the race from Zach Rattray White at 2:01.5. We are into the ones for the top two. And special story for you as well, Woods still yet to match Rattray White's time of that .50 he's put on the board.
Yes, indeed. Woods holding the fastest lap of the race for a very long time, in fact, but Rattray White has managed to turn that Eclipse Aston into a hot lap machine in the most recent few laps. Pit lane is a hive of activity. We've got Chapman, Dawson, Shepherd, Curtis, Hilly, Bass, Scordalis, Bailey, Reardon, Jeffrey, Sam Chapman and Trent Stapleton all in. And they've all managed to come out in just a few moments as well. It looks like Dawson is battling with Stuart Ellis, who is really off strategy now compared to everybody. Ellis in the number 73, he's 9 laps into his stint now, which means he's it's going to be a bit touch and go, I think, whether or not he'll be able to get to the end without another stop, Pete.
No, look, everybody who's stopping now is saying that they're getting to the end. I was checking with anybody to see whether they're taking tyres, actually. So everybody is just fuel only. Nobody from who I've been able to talk to has any intention of taking tyres. So nearly all of them took tyres in that mid-range, about the hour range. So that's where we're at with the race. Just fuel in and get going.
Because the numbers have been lying to me then about the tyre changes once again. It's the story of my life. Front two are in though. Woods and Rattray White are into pit lane now as we ride with Donaldson across the top and up towards Forest Elbow. In behind Dean Mackay. Woods getting the fastest lap of the race into pit lane at 2:01.4. He's just done that. I don't know if that's going to be beaten on the road tonight, but what I'm seeing in pit lane is it is side by side between both of them. It's a drag race to the pit boxes.
All right, Damon Woods in the last box there, and he's up on the jacks. He's taking tyres for the final stint. Will Zach Rattray White be doing the same thing? Remains to be seen.
Like it.
Yeah, looks like it.
I think he's taking fuel. He's taking fuel. He's not taking any tyres.
He's come out ahead.
Rattray White's taking a massive, massive push here. He's going to gain a couple of seconds on Woods. Now, the important thing for this is, Reece, you mentioned earlier, the amount of laps it takes for those tyres to get up to temperature. Is this going to harm Woods, or does he think he can get him up to temp quick enough and then chase down Rattray White and get back past him again?
That is the question. Well, we'll be monitoring that quite hard with Dean Mackay now moving his way into P4, and by a solid amount too. Donaldson and Dawson, who are more on strategy with Mackay, they're a few seconds behind, stuck behind Stuart Ellis at the moment. Pit stop comparison between Rattray White and Damon Woods. Well, fuel only for Zach, and that is going to result in a car that will still have its tyres up to temperature, but in danger of running out of grip by the end. Damon Woods, meanwhile, he needs to get those tyres up to temperature. It's going to cost him a few seconds, I think. And considering how close the pace was between Woods and Rattray White anyway. Oh, no! Oh, dear, Dylan Shepherd! Looks like Hilly and Scordalis got into him there, but they weren't the cause of that contact there. That is huge for Dylan Shepherd, and that's changed the face of this battle just inside the top 10.
This could be a last-minute safety car. If Shepherd's not moving, this could be a late-break safety car. Now, we mentioned earlier some of the alternate strategy, some of those guys who are already, sort of 9 laps into their stint. This could be the thing they were hoping for, Reece, because this could be the factor that gets them to the end. Now, the problem for Damon Woods is if this is a safety car, the tyres are not going to be up to temperature. And he's going to have less time to get them up to temperature, but he's going to be right on the back of Zach Rattray White.
Yeah, he will be. This is going to be a really interesting decision that race control has to make here. We saw the replay just then. Connor Nixon getting alongside Dylan Shepherd at Reed Park and making contact, turning him around. Unfortunately, that incident ended up costing Nixon's teammate Mark Hilly, who had no choice but to run straight into Shepherd as he was broadside across the racetrack. But for the moment, it looks like we're avoiding a safety car. But Dylan Shepherd is still out there though, so this could be interesting. Shepherd still stopped at the Exeter Reed Park and on the racing line, no less. So I think a decision has to be made very shortly, and it looks like it has. Dylan Shepherd has towed back to pit lane, presumably with permission from race control. We're staying green.
Yes, he did have full permission from race control and no safety covers.
So one thing I've noticed as well is, Reese, too, we've got one car tonight that has been disqualified from this race. I'm unsure why he's been disqualified, but he has been disqualified. And it was that green Porsche we saw earlier on, Glenn Crellin, who's out of this race. So he was towing without permission, and that's why he's out.
Yes, the only car to have been DQ'd thus far. We also saw a penalty earlier on for Jaden Green for the incident on lap 38. I believe that was at the cutting with his former teammate, as we saw on live pictures. So seeing yet more coming in from race control here. Car number 8, which incidentally is Lachlan Capel, a 5-second time penalty for moving under brakes back on lap 39. So yeah, it seems like no one is safe from something going on here in these late stages. Looking at Dawson here, who's in between Eli Donaldson and Connor Nixon, who is the next driver in that 0-2, I believe might have a penalty coming his way.
Very well made. So this could hurt Nixon here tonight. Now, obviously, if it's a time penalty, Dawson may be happy just to let him go because, well, he knows that he'll get him in the post-race results, as Nixon's going to try and send it up the inside of the right sim racing entry of Dawson. Job done for Nixon there. I wonder if Alan knows that Connor will likely have a penalty coming his way. Oh my God. Something's happened to Pete seen it. It's Ben Jeffrey up at the Exeter Forest elbow. This car is parked in a very difficult position here, Reese. These drivers, hopefully, they're watching their screens. They'll see they've got a yellow flag and they take time to just avoid him.
He was in 17th at the start of that lap, started dead last. In fact, it was a great run up through the field from Ben Jeffrey, but unfortunately, rear end gets loose on the Exeter Forest elbow, and one of the Orbit Drop Bear Aston Martins got involved in that as well.
Yeah, that's also
Lachlan
taken out
Capel.
Lachlan Capel, boys. He is sitting by the side of the grid and has asked for a tow.
Yeah, that's a shame. It looks like it also involves Stuart Shaw, who came together with Lachlan Capel as he was practically airborne. Look at this on the exit here. Contact made, and oh my God, that is huge. He almost went over the wall.
It was almost the Shell V-Power BMW Tony Hawk grinding up at the cutting at the 12-hour only a few years ago levels. I mean, that was... yeah, that was a big launch from him. I know we lost the Bathurst jump. When the off-track update happened a little while ago, Reese, that slows them down on the gravel. I think we just found it again. It's moved up the hill and it's in the form of an Aston Martin.
Yeah, car number 93 trying to find a way through, but I mean, for both Capel and Shaw, it was just a case of the car in front was out of control. Yeah. Whether or not brakes were being held, it would have taken a bit for the car to come to a stop. And so,
exactly.
You know, the best thing for you to do as the driver coming up on the incident is to just get on the brakes. I mean, it's just not worth trying to power through something like that.
Ultimately, there's a lot of G-forces going through that car, even at a simulated level. There is not much more that Aston Martin can do, even if he's holding his brakes, because that car still has to let out a lot of energy out of it.
Look at that.
Yeah,
from
201.3. So that's the fresh tyres now coming on board for Damon. So he's got 16 minutes to catch Rattray White, which is highly possible if he keeps on pulling out laps like that. But then he's also got to get past him as well. So, Woods with fresh tyres, obviously he's ranked 7th in the world in terms of sports car license. He's a very, very quick and he's a very, very quick driver, Reese. He's got a lot of obviously success behind his name. Rattray White is no slouch though. He was hanging with Woods this whole race. He's not going to let him have it easily.
No, certainly not. I've followed Rattray White's career over the last few years, and the rise that he's had over the last 2 or 3 years in particular has been incredible to see. You can definitely count him amongst the elite of drivers on the roadside in the NZ Sim sphere. Eli Donaldson, meanwhile, he's got an awful lot to play for here with Nixon and Dawson still on his rear end, but still some question marks over whether the result will stand for Nixon, being the car that turned Dylan Shepherd around just a couple of laps ago and caused that huge kerfuffle. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting fight once again. Some great positions being gained from just about everybody in the top 10 outside of our top 3. Dean Mackay, for example, he's made it up 50 places over the course of this race. That's just a phenomenal rise through the field. Ellis is up 18. Donaldson's up 15 places. Alan Dawson gaining 22 spots to sit in P8. Well, it might change in the short term here for Donaldson if Nixon is able to get past, but that looked like half a defense, half a block there from Donaldson. He's certainly not keen to let Connor go here.
So, by the way, it's another half a second now that Rattray White's given up to Damon Woods this last lap. 2:01.9 plays a 2:01.4, so that's the differential between them at this stage. For Donaldson, he's got massive pressure from Nixon in behind, and if he has any inkling that Nixon may have a penalty, then he may have let him go by now. But at this stage, I don't think Donaldson's thinking about it. He just wants to hold him off, and he wants to beat him on the road.
Yeah, wants to have a chance to not just defend from Nixon, but also maybe defend from Dawson behind. Because if you just pull off and let a driver go, then you stand a chance of costing yourself time. Stuart Ellis into the pit lane, got a black flag for speeding on pit entry. He was at the end of his stint there, and that's bad news for Ben Jeffrey. He's going to get a rear of grid start for the next round for not holding brakes. Yeah, and I think it was quite obvious from the replay view we saw on board Lachlan Cable that Ben Jeffrey was not holding the brakes when he was spinning.
Hey guys, I'm just thinking about the Eli Donaldson-Connor Nixon matchup right now, and you're talking about Connor Nixon potentially having a time penalty. He doesn't have a penalty right now, so Eli Donaldson has got to race him for position. And unless a penalty is issued, then I think Eli's got to do everything he can to stay in front until he knows or is for certain that there is a time penalty there. And I think if he sees a time penalty come for Connor, I think it's a case of, with 13 minutes to go, let him go and stay within that time.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, though, I don't think Donaldson's having to do as much work as we think to keep Nixon behind him, because Connor's making these small mistakes. I mean, at the start of the lap, we saw him go wide out of turn 1. He was wide out of the dipper as well. So Nixon is a bit of his own worst enemy at the moment, trying to grab this position but making those tiny errors. Potentially the final corner is going to give him the chance he needs over the rise under the Armour All Bridge, but no opportunity presents itself coming into Murray's Corner. This battle's going to continue on for quite some time. We are now within 13 minutes to go for the first round of the Motorsport Simworld GT3 Open Championship by Premier Endurance League, with Suit Speed and Kibby Graphics also on board for sponsoring this championship. Sutton has come into the lane, off strategy from the last safety car period, and looks like this is going to be his final stop as well. He will fall outside of the top 10 thanks to that. His teammate Tyson Broad also coming in just behind him as the battle continues between Donaldson and Nixon.
Still going on strong between them, and I think you're right, Reece, what you're saying. Connor's making these small mistakes. He's trying to put massive pressure though on the Vermilion car ahead of him. Got to think back though, 2 years ago, Nixon was a Vermilion esports driver. It's again a former teammate of his that he's now battling for position on the road, and of course he's been with Orbit Drop Bear now for over a year. He's looking to push on and push ahead, but Eli Donaldson's not going to make it easy for him as Byron Pierce sets the fastest lap of the race at 2:01.2.
I think that's because he came into pit lane.
Yeah. Well, set up your strategies as well as you can. Reece, get yourself the bonus of I set a faster lap than Damon Woods.
Yeah, it's a really interesting pit entry at this circuit.
Yeah.
You basically cut the inside of the final corner in order order to do it. And that's why you sometimes see people getting fastest laps around here that you might not otherwise expect. But I'm sure that officially the fastest lap of the race will still fall to Damon Woods with that 201.3, or potentially Rattray White with that 201.4. Depends on whether or not they were in the pits on setting that lap. Once again, Nixon struggling to find his way past Eli Donaldson here. The front mid-engine Mercedes versus the rear-engine Porsche. You can always count on good traction for the Porsche 911 out of corners, but its straight-line speed has suffered in recent balance of performance builds, and that is going to seal it there. Nixon gets past at Murray's Corner and up into the top 5.
I've just seen previously Tyson Broad had an incident at the top of the hill, and he's actually just towed back to pit lane. Now, I'm not sure if he's actually requested a tow, but I've just seen him go back to pit lane. So whether he has requested or not, I'm not sure. But he definitely did not drive that thing back. But whether he did or not, that's another question. As we'll see a replay in a moment. Here comes Donaldson on the outside. Drive-through penalty for Connor Nixon for the contact with Shepherd. And if Donaldson had gotten it 5 seconds earlier, Reese, he probably wouldn't have gone for the move.
Oh, that's a shame. And Donaldson with big damage now. He's crawling. He's got a mechanical black flag, has Eli Donaldson. This is what happened to Tyson Broad. Solo error at Reed Park. The car swung back around after the rear end hit the wall, and unfortunately not much more he could do about that. But man, what a turnaround for Eli Donaldson, and in the worst possible way.
Yeah, worst possible man up for Eli Donaldson after such a strong run tonight. But he attempted it on the outside. It hasn't worked for him too often. At times late in the race, it doesn't when you're trying to get around the outside. It was a ballsy move, and unfortunately Reese has ballsed it up and put it in the wall.
Yeah, this is live pictures of him at the moment, just making his way across the top of the mountain. Clearly, the car is very hurt at the moment. I mentioned, the layout of the Porsche is just turning in there across the top. There's nothing he can do, and I think it might be a bit too hazardous to even get that car back to pit lane. He might have to request a tow from here. The problem with the Porsche having its engine in the back of the car swung over the rear axle is that any contact to the rear, it doesn't just damage the drive shaft and the suspension, it damages the engine as well.
Yeah, that's the big struggle when you're driving in those rear and mid-engine cars, because any heavy rear-end contact, ultimately it is a massive danger for you. The upside is if you go straight into a wall with the front end, you're not going to blow your engine. So, that's the balancing choice between if you're going to run mid or rear engine or if you're going to run front engine. But it's the big problem with the Porsche. It's often the issue with specifically the Porsche doing Porsche things. But that's not the end that Donaldson would have wanted. So for Rattray White at the moment, though, time has been chipping away from Damon Woods, who's got the gap now down to less than 2.5 seconds. By the time he catches Rattray White, he's probably only going to have about 5, maybe even only 3 minutes to get past him, but he is going super, super quick now that those tyres are up to temperature, Reese, and now that they've got full grip on board of them.
Yeah, Damon Woods, his previous lap was a 2:01.498. That is only 0.02 of a second off Zach Rattray White's fastest lap of the race. So this is a matchup for the ages we're seeing between these two. They've been at the front practically the whole way, and they've been going blow for blow. It's fantastic to see. Clearly, the Aston Martin, the car of choice for this season. But it remains to be seen which of these two Aston Martins is going to take victory. Damon Woods on the left at the bottom of your screen, Zach Rattray White on the right. Both of them looking the picture of calm and focus as we enter the final 7 minutes of this race. 4 laps remain according to my timing. And Damon Woods, a 2:01.2. That is on track, I think, the fastest lap we've seen today.
Definitely is fastest lap on track for sure today. You can see both of them just super smooth. You mentioned it, Reece, super calm and collected right now. Gap is down to 1.5 seconds. By the time they get across the top, the calculations read that, well, Woods should be at around about a second behind Zach Rattray White. So by the time they start the next lap, it's going to be on. He's going to be right there. He's going to have the toe, and he's going to be able to put pressure on him again for the final, really, 3 laps of this race. So for Rattray White, you're in the back of your mind, you're thinking, right, I've got to survive 3 laps with Woods hot on my heels. For Woods, you've got to think, I've got to get past him in 2 laps, so I've got 1 lap to try and run away. That is the game plan for them. That's what they've got to try and provide us. And that's what they've got to try and do now for the final 5.5 or 5 3/4 minutes of this race to get themselves to a race win.
Yeah, see the sector times now up here. We'll get a real eye into where Damon Woods is catching Zach Rattray White the most. 3/10 up in Sector 1. Jay in the background has just told us everywhere. See about just over a 10th gained through Sector 2, but that's the part of the circuit where you really want to take care and avoid getting into the wall. 9/10 of a second gained on the previous lap there for Damon Woods. This is going to be huge. Peter, we'll bring you in one final time here as the track temperature has fallen down ever further. I think that might be playing a part in the lap times we're seeing from the front runners.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not only that, we're close to 6:30 p.m. sim time, so the sun's gone right down. The sun's off the track. It's 23.9 degrees. It's the lowest it's going to be for the whole race. So certainly this is cream. This is when supercars do their top 10 shootout, because it's the time you get the fastest times. So it's the fastest we're going to see the track, and we'll see what happens next few races. Sorry.
Look at the time from Damon Woods. 2011 on track, Hamish. That's crazy.
It's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. There are expensive words we could use to describe that. We can't right now. We're not past 11 p.m. But yeah, for Woods, he is pushing this thing. It's now within a second. So by the time he gets to Conrod Straight, at the end of Forest Elbow, he is going to be right on the heels of Zach Rattray White. Rattray White is going to have roughly 2.5 laps to defend against Damon Woods on fresh tyres, and realistically the fastest he's been this whole race. So for Woods, he's trying to push on. Rattray White's going to have to make that Aston Martin about as wide as a BMW M8 at Le Mans and just not let him go past him at all. And the one thing you're hoping for, you don't want the track to bite you. You don't want a small mistake to bite you either, because this is the maximum pressure moment. This is what the last hour and 56 minutes have been for, to get you to the end of the race, to get you to the final 2 laps. And for Damon Woods, he's got 2 laps to get it done. For Rattray White, he's got 2 laps to hold him off and get himself a win in the first race of the season.
Yeah, maybe Rattray White has taken a few pointers from Mark Hilly's spirited defence earlier on in this race and might try to employ a few of those strategies to keep Woods behind. But this is the point when the fuel tanks are at their lightest, and remember, Woods has the advantage of fresh tyres, which are in their prime phase right now. See how close he gets out of Conrod, down through the chase as well. Bit of oversteer on the exit of the chase. Woods has set up this car to be driving almost entirely on the front end, which is what you need at a place like this. 2 laps to go, and Damon Woods gets down to a 2:01.131 as he's now right on the back of Rattray White. This is incredible pace that we're seeing from the number 1.
What more can Rattray White do now? 2 laps, right, a little over 12 Ks. He's got to try and defend this thing for his life. And for Woods, he's just got to play the game. He knows he's got better tyre wear. Does he be patient? Does he wait for the last lap where, Rattray White's not going to have as much chance to come back at him? Or has he got the faith in the tyres that if he gets past him early, he can run away from him? Those sort of lap times indicate, well, yes, he could, because he's just a hell of a lot faster than what Rattray White is right now. 6/10 faster on that last lap. And for Woods, he's got to try and pick the perfect moment. Realistically, don't want to be doing it across the top. That's the most high pressure, high percentage chance of getting it in the wall as Alan Dawson exits pit lane now. Those top 2 though, I mean, what a show they put on tonight, Reese. They've been together the whole time. It was bold of Rattray White to not take tyres on the last stop. Woods put the faith into those tyres to get this job done. And for Zach Rattray White, I think right now it's crunch time. He's going to have one thing to do, and that is plant that car on the left-hand side of track at the chase and not give Damon Woods an inch of a thought of possibly getting past him.
Rattray White went for track position at the last stop. Damon Woods going for fresh rubber and greater pace at the end. The slipstream comes into effect down Conrod Straight here. Coming up on 1 minute to go, and the white flag will be out in the stands, ready to greet these guys. Rattray White plants it in the middle of the racetrack. That's a good defense there. Damon Woods has to try and find another way around, and this time Rattray White's going to be defensive in Murray's as well. Passing around the outside of the final corner is not easy at this place, but Woods is later on the brakes. Rattray White shuffles him wide and out of the way though. Ever so slight contact as the final lap begins at Mount Panorama.
Final chance, final time, 6.2 Ks, 6,200 metres to survive around Mount Panorama. Up Mountain Straight they come, and if you're Rattray White, you've got to try and defend as hard as you can for Griffins. You can hold him off through Griffins and then up through the cutting as well, and then it's hoping and praying that he doesn't try and go for something ballsy across the top. He looks to cover the inside. Woods up the inside of Griffins. Contact made. Rattray White the wall. It's blown up in front of them. Woods may get a penalty for that. We'll have to wait until he's got to redress. He's redressing the position. He doesn't want to have to just take it away from him like that, and Rattray White back in the lead. We'll see if Woods gets a chance to come back at him now towards the end of this lap.
Yeah, he's much further behind than he was, though, and all things considered, running about 0.3 of a second faster than Rattray White on the previous lap. I think Woods has the potential here to retake the lead, but he's going to have to work super hard across the top to do it. Rattray White also getting into the tyre barriers. He'll have minor but noticeable damage, I think, to that car. That's a little bit of a blow up there. It was interesting to see, though, as Rattray White works hard there with the rear end coming out of the dipper. Why didn't he stay defensive into Griffins? He was in the perfect position to do so, but pulled out onto the racing line back when they got to the start of the corner. Now it all comes down to the chase here. The slipstream kicks in again, and Damon Woods continues to bring his car further towards the rear of Zach Rattray White. Can the reigning champion start his title defense off in the best way possible with a win at the first round of the season? Or will Zach Rattray White take first blood? Pulling ever closer is Damon Woods there. Both of them just kissing the apex of the chase. And now Rattray White will stay defensive again, coming into the final corner. It's all going to come down to this. Woods may try to pull out, but he's going to stay on the inside as well. Zach Rattray White and Damon Woods side by side on the final corner, and Woods gets it at the end. My God, what a finish!
I reckon they're in Discord together, Reese, because both of those guys are having a laugh as soon as they come over the line. Watch the moment on the start-finish line when we get to the replays. He's tucked right up behind Rattray White. He's given him a little push through the apex. That's forced him wide. That's allowed Damon just to sneak up his inside, get better drive out of the corner, and target ahead of him to the race lead right on the line. Great racing between both of them. I think Damon knew that what they had done at turn 2, and he just let him go there, being that they probably were talking to each other during the race as it comes to an end now. But what a win for Zach Rattray White. First blood drawn in round 1. What can he bring for round 2 as we watch the replay?
So Woods crossed the line just ahead there. It was all in the exit. Rattray White was forced wide as Damon Woods did not go for the outside line in Murray's, and ultimately the gap between them 0.3 of a second. Rattray White getting out over the curb on the exit of the final corner and losing traction at that crucial juncture. And so Damon Woods, it looks like, is going to finish in front here. The race is still going on, by the way, for the minor positions here. Marino Morella and Stuart Ellis, two drivers who would have been a factor in the top 10 were it not for the multitudes of issues that they've suffered over the course of the last 2 hours. For the moment, it looks like Stuart Ellis is going to hold on to P18 with Morella still inside the top 20. I've got to say, with all of the chaos that we saw today, could have been worse.
It could have been worse, and you know, it was a great race to the end, a great showing to the end as well, and you know, what could have been for some drivers has come out as a storyline for others as well. And what it's going to mean is it's going to mean a massive season going forward throughout the rest of these rounds. Adelaide next time out is going to be a big one, because that's going to be chaos personified. Street circuit racing at the brand new Adelaide Street Circuit. What more could you ask for round 2? As the results come up on your screen now, it's Damon Woods by 0.03 of a second over Zach Rattray White, with Reese Wakefield the top 3, Dean Mackay and Isaac Curtis making up the top 10, Matt Bailey, Connor Nixon, Ethan Bass, Alan Dawson and Sam Sutton making up the 10 drivers there for the top 10 cars, all within a minute of each other there, Reese.
Yeah, and just highlighting again, remember Dean Mackay started 54th. He made up 50 places to get P4. What an incredible drive from him. Trent Stapleton is going to finish in P11 after starting 40th. Corey Bennett started 44th. We've seen him in the pits a couple of times. He ended up actually running into one of the Mustangs out of the cutting earlier. And so to see him in 12th place honestly surprises me. Ryan Bell as well, getting his way into P13 ahead of Sam Chapman and Patrick Reardon. A lot of drivers having really good races here in this midfield. Jaden Green started 29th, ends up 16th with, unfortunately, a penalty having come his way too. Harry Dodds in 17th place with Stuart Ellis and Marina Morella taking the finish on live pictures. Mark Hilly rounding out the top 20. So not quite the result he would have wanted, but what an incredible defense he had after the last safety car.
Yeah, it was, you know, one of the best pieces of defensive driving we'd seen throughout the whole race. Andrew Scordalis, what could have been for him, he was up at bulk positions at one stage, but ends it out a lap down on the race leaders. Lachlan Capel, Austin Edwards as well. Then we get to the one or the two or more laps down on the leaders' positions here. Jordan Pinazzola at a Paul Heckel and Brock Kelly. Heckel with massive damage early on in the race as well. And a really sad moment for him where he didn't have the fast repair ticked and actually had to come back into pit lane again to get it fixed up. Jet Saragi and Adam Jepson ahead of Eli Donaldson and Jack Bird for the top 30. What could have been for Eli Donaldson tonight, Reese. He's ended up down towards the back end of the top 30 cars. And then Matt Webber for P31.
Yes, Tyson Broad with a late stop and late error coming home 32nd place. And then Benjamin Wilder, I mean, we saw him with great potential at the start of the race, but ultimately ends up 7 laps down on our leaders. Jack Stone, Leo Dreyer, Stuart Shaw and Byron Pierce all 9 laps down. And then we get to retirement territory. Ben Jeffrey with a rear grid start for the next round for not holding his brakes. Dylan Shepherd with contact with Connor Nixon, sending him into the wall at Reed Park. A real shame for Dylan. He was a top 5, maybe even podium material for sure. And Kurt Chapman, we saw him be a factor up the front after the final safety car. He ends up 40th.
And, Lewin Murphy ahead of Adam Burhop as well, with Lockhart Brownlee, Marcus Watson, Trent Allen, Campbell Adams, Alex Cattle, Glenn Crellin too. We saw him in a couple of moments tonight as well that we were vocal about. Marie Jussaul, one of our Danes out there, and Michael Brennan for the 50 cars at the end of the field. And then it was Andrew Dutch, Mark Foster, Lewis Greathead, Clint Smith, Peter Johannesson and Kobe Marshall for the 56 cars here this evening. Real shame for Lewis Greathead. He had great pace out there, but just some unlucky moments for him.
Yeah, shame for Kobe Marshall as well with frame rate issues for him. But it's time to have a chat to our winners here today, and Damon Woods joins us here, getting your title defense off to the best start possible. Damon, that was a hell of a battle with Zach in the final laps.
Yeah, Zach was a bit cheeky and didn't take tyres in the last stop after we had discussed that we're both going to take tyres. So, no, he played the card right, to be fair. You know, in the end, it is racing. He's allowed to do whatever he wants. We don't have to do the same thing. So, yeah, he made the bold call to do it. Unfortunately, he made a mistake. I think maybe with 5 to go out of the chase, and that was all I needed. That was the big time gain that I need to get back in the tow. And yeah, like the tyre advantage was 7/10 towards the end of that. So yeah, it was really just pray that I could get a move done, and I did it turn 2. I thought it was a bit egregious on my behalf. It was a fair send, so that's why I redressed it. But yeah, I figured last corner I might as well try and do something a bit special, and plus we both surged as we come out the last corner, so it was pretty much whoever got the last surge was pretty much who won it. So yeah, I had great fun. I was a little bit unsure on whether or not I would catch him, but yeah, the pace was good enough and the car was absolutely dialed, so I can't thank Marino, BP and for Zach as well for putting in the work, 'cause yeah, the car was on rails.
Yeah, fantastic looking car, and it looked incredibly stable all the way through. But Mount Panorama for the first round of a season, certainly an interesting choice. And I think the round one Gremlins played victim to quite a few drivers today. Some of that chaos was happening around you, particularly after the, I think the second or the third pit stop / safety car period. You really had to be on your toes in terms of strategy today.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate on our behalf with Marino as well. Like, when the safety car got called, we had already committed to to just going past the pits, and then we got the call that I was the virtual safety car. So, any other kind of scenario, we would have been able to, go around again, and we would have pit at full speed. So that hurt, but luckily for us, we didn't have too many people box that we were actually racing. So, yeah, it was good in that regard, but yeah, still pretty tricky to try and manage the strategy, and yeah, having to deal with the guys on cold tires that didn't quite have the pace was also quite scary on that restart. So yeah, we kept it clean. Yeah, like I said, the car pace was always going to be there, so it was just about keeping calm, making sure we didn't do anything stupid until the last stint.
Well, at the end of the day, you come across the line P1, and I'm sure that you'll be starting your preparations in due course for Adelaide at the end of March. That's going to be a tough one as well, but we send our congratulations to you, Damon. Thanks very much for joining us, and yeah, let's see if we're speaking to you again next round.
That's the plan. And also a big shout out to Motorsport Simworld as well. So if you guys ever in Melbourne want a place to have a rip on some motion sims, that's the place to go. Yeah, and cool for them to jump on board with title sponsorship of Premier Endurance League for the GT3 Open. So, yeah, big ups. Again, thanks everyone for putting on the event. The boys in the com box as well. Yeah, guys did an awesome job, always do. So yeah, big thanks.
Thanks very much. Damon Woods there, race winner for round one. And Zach Rattray-White now with us, stood by with Hamish.
Zach, we speak again after a little while. Congratulations. Great race for yourself, buddy. Obviously, working well there with Damon throughout that one. You guys were together pretty much the whole way through. Gave you a bit of a cheeky little nudge, though, at turn 2 there on the last lap that just sent you a little bit wide. How wide-eyed and bushy-tailed were you when you nearly ran it in the wall up there on the final lap?
I think I definitely played a part in probably turning it a bit early. I thought it was 50-50 if I'm honest. I don't think if he didn't want to redress, he probably didn't have to, but it was very nice of him too. So I really felt that. But the last corner one was the fun one. I thought I almost had him on the exit and I ran out of fuel, so it didn't matter.
I saw you go defensive and I'm like, oh, Damon's not jumping the outside. Oh, he's going to try and push him on the apex, isn't he? And he did exactly that. It's just a drag race to the line between you. And I saw the reaction on the cameras and I'm like, oh, these boys are chatting to each other as well while they're driving. So it was like, it is literally like you both knew what was on, and it was just a massive, like, almost race between friends at that stage, really, for the final lap.
Yeah, well, he took tyres in the last stop and I didn't. I thought I played an absolute masterstroke and gained some time back in the pit stop, but yeah, Damon did Damon things and started pulling seconds out of me, which was very rude of him to do. Ran off the road a bit, and he caught me, got in draft, and I thought I had the widest Aston ever. Not wide enough, clearly. Just used me as a bit of a break into the last corner, which I thought was pretty funny.
Maybe you needed the BMW M8 GTE car. That might have been the wide berth you may have needed.
Yeah, it turns out he ran out of fuel at the last corner as well, so it was literally just a drag race it's a bit like soapbox to the line. Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, a killer race from you, though, once again, obviously. I mean, more success for you here at the Mountain. Adelaide next time out. This race was chaotic enough. Streets of Adelaide are surely going to be a bit of chaos for you out there.
Well, I haven't driven a GT3 around there, so no idea whether you miss curbs, hit curbs, or hopefully miss the concrete, but I don't know, it might end up in it, who knows. Might have to ship Damon off next time, maybe. I'll use him as a break.
Send him at turn 9, see what happens to him in the wall, but yeah, well, you got a month to prepare through obviously the official 12-hour as well coming up in February, and then obviously with preparations for OSR, I'm sure, as well. So it's a busy month ahead, but we appreciate you coming and have a chat to us, Zach. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
Oh, yeah, just Damon, Moreno and Byron for all the hard work. The car was ridiculous. Probably one of the best cars I've ever had the pleasure of driving. So yeah, shout out to them. But yeah, Damo as well on the last lap. That was really fun.
Well, Zach, thanks so much. Best of luck out at Adelaide in the next month for the next round, and best of luck across the 12-hour special events that are coming up as well. I'm sure you'll be a major factor in them.
Sweet, thanks guys.
Thanks so much, Zach Ratcho White, P2 here this evening, and Reese. Next time we go racing, it's on the streets of Adelaide for the first time in PEL.
Absolutely. Brand new circuit to iRacing, and one that the community down here has been clamoring for years. It's finally here with us, and it feels so good to see those Aussie road signs in iRacing. Fantastic stuff. Going to be going for 2 one-hour sprint races at the Adelaide Street Circuit. That'll be on the 29th of March, same time as this broadcast started. So we've got a long way to go before that round, though. 8 weeks worth of prep and quite a few different races to go for, but we'll see how the field handles it when they eventually come to it. A huge thanks to everyone for tuning in on SimSpeed TV here, whichever platform you found us on. We thank you for joining us for this. A huge thanks once again to our series sponsors, Motorsport Simworld, Suitspeed, and Kibby Graphics as well, and to all the crew at Premier Endurance League for getting this off the ground and bringing us on board once again to bring it to the world. We'll see you at Adelaide for the second round of the Motorsport Simworld GT3 Open Series. I'm Reese Gardner, Hamish Munro alongside me in the comms box, Pete Baxter joining us intermittently, as well as Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, bringing you these live pictures. We're SimSpeed TV, and we'll see you again next time.